Manus AI, the ultimate 3-hour course. Today, I'm going to be teaching you everything you need to know about how to use Manus AI agents to automate, to build anything you want, to create SaaS tools, to create directories or websites or games even, and how to get started from the very basics all the way to the most advanced stuff that I've done directly with Manus. Now, this is a bit of a game changer because it's very autonomous, right? So this is kind of like what we imagined ChatGPT would be able to do. It can, for example, just go off on the internet, figure stuff out, problem solve, do its own research, browse the web, use websites. It is extremely powerful. Now, what I've also done inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, is break everything down into step-by-step SOPs like you can see right here, along with some examples of how to make money with Manus. You've got all my best examples of what I've built. And additionally, if you want to learn how to set up Open Manus, which some are saying is like a local version of Manus, but you don't need to wait for an invitation code or anything like that, you can get that directly inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Just go to the SOP section. And you might be wondering, okay, what makes Manus AI stand out? Well, it can, for example, control and do multiple things in the background. So you can see right here, it's actually controlling 50 different screens. This is the AI just working autonomously like an army of AI robots. You can also see, for example, here, someone has a self-driving Tesla with Manus in the background actually briefing them on the next meeting. It has autonomous task execution. So unlike, for example, AI assistants like ChatGPT that can really only offer suggestions, Manus can independently execute tasks. So it can write reports, spreadsheets, it can analyze data, it can create content, it can travel and search the web, it can create files, and it can also deploy websites. It's also multimodal. So for example, you can upload screenshots and that sort of thing and upload files. And it has advanced tool invocation, which basically means it can use like web browsers. It can create code and edit with it. And it's actually outperforming all the other best models on the Gaia benchmark, right? So in terms of like deep research and AI agent performance, it's performing the best out of everywhere. And the thing is as well, we really need to all understand this because, AI agents are going to have a serious social economic implication. So for example, like job displacement, I think Goldman Sachs estimated that 300 million jobs will be displaced by AI agents. And that's really on the verge of the horizon, right? We can all see that happening in real time. And also, there's a serious risk that if you don't understand AI, you could be really disempowered as you go ahead. So it's really important to watch this course step by step. Like I said, even if you don't have an invitation code to Manus, I'm sure it'll be available soon. But number two, you can actually watch these demos live on the website. It's got, for example, examples of the AI agent doing research, live data analysis, education, productivity. Here's an example of a website actually built with just one single prompt and deployed using Manus. And here's an example of a medieval game I actually built using Manus as well. So you can see, for example, here we can zoom in, zoom out, and we can control the character very easily indeed. All right. And we can just be a medieval character walking around a castle. And it's pretty wild stuff. Now, if you want to demo it, for example, let's have a look here. So if we wanted to, for example, deeply analyze Tesla stocks, we can click on this demo. I do have live access, but again, if you don't have an invitation code, you can just see the demos here. And additionally, like I said, you can set up Open Manus. I'll cover that later in this course so that you can actually run a similar version of Manus locally on your laptop. And I'll show you exactly how to set that up step by step later in this course. So here's an example of the AI agent just going off, coding, doing research in real time, creating all these charts and analysis here. So it's pretty amazing what it can do. And, could a human realistically just go off and do that? Well, 99% of humanity couldn't, right? So at this point, we're looking at something that's probably smarter than most humans, more powerful, works more productively, doesn't take the weekends off, and doesn't need to be paid hourly either. Absolutely wild. I actually got Manus to create a website about itself so that you can understand what it does. And basically, it is like a autonomous helper that can just go out and do stuff, right? It's like your little robot friend right here, going off, doing lots of jobs. It works by itself. It can see and understand things. It can use tools, and it gets better and better over time. And this is just the beginning, my friends. So here it is in real life. I actually created this prompt right here to figure out and research about itself. It can execute commands in terminal, like you can see, and it can actually search on the web. So you can see here it says searching Manus AI agent features capabilities. Then it started browsing Hugging Face, like you can see. And we can actually see it like just looking at the website here, scrolling around, then doing the research, gathering all the details it needs. It can create files as well. So for example, like this one, you can see this file that it created, and we can skip through all the research that it did step by step. Now, to get started, you just go to new session, type in what you want. You can switch between standard. Standard mode is basically like the balance between quality and speed. And that's probably going to do the job for most people here. But if you need to create something super advanced, then it actually has high effort mode that employs a longer chain of thought and performs more detailed task breakdown, but it requires a bit more processing time. By the way, if you want to know how I got access and how I got an invitation code to this, I'll cover that later in this course as well, in case you're looking for an early invite code. So let's get into it. Today, we're going to be running through Manus, which is absolutely popping off right now. This is a new Chinese AI agent that can control your browser, and it's kind of like a DeepSeek moment. If we have a look at some of the use cases, you'll see what I mean. Bear in mind, I'm paying $200 a month right now. I'm feeling like an absolute plonker because you can get it for free at Manus from what I've seen so far. And it's pretty wild what you can do. You see some of the stuff. I'll be running you through some of the demos today and how it works, etc. For example, for research, life, data analysis, education, productivity, it can find you potential customers. Or it can even do like schedules for candidate interviews. It can do website SEO optimization. And I'll run you through exactly what this means and how it's working so far. But here's the craziest thing that I've seen out of all of this, and it absolutely blew my mind, but terrified me at the same time when I saw this, which is, let me pull this up for you. There's a video of the AI actually controlling like 50 different screens at the same time. Let me pull this up for you. So you can see here, this is a tweet from Mahesh, who says China is on the verge of becoming AI superpower with release of its second gen AI Manus, claimed to perform 50 tasks at a time and more powerful than the first gen AI DeepSeek AI, right? And you can see a video of it here. So it's controlling all these responsive screens, kind of like they're all, you got tweets, you got it checking out Twitter, you've got it, for example, scrolling through feeds, checking out WhatsApp or maybe Telegram, something like that. Like, it's pretty wild what it can do. And this is probably the future that we're looking at, to be honest with you. So I'm going to run you through exactly how it works step by step, what it looks like, how you can use it, etc. And we'll start with an example that we've got right here. So this is very similar to ChatGPT in the way it's laid out. You kind of got like the canvas and the results over here. So these are the end results of the itinerary that we've got for Japan. And basically what we said was 7-day Japan itinerary with proposal ideas. So the original prompt for this demo is, I need a 7-day Japanese itinerary for April 15th from Seattle with a 2,000 to 5,000 budget for my fiance and me, blah, blah, blah. Lots of detail right there. And then it's actually gone off and like researched all of this. Now, the interesting thing about this is it can actually execute commands. It can create files, right? So for example, if we click on this, we can see the file that is created, which is a to-do.md. It can also search the web. It can actually browse the web as well. So, kind of like Claude does. Claude is the only one that I've seen actually do this decently so far. But you can see here, for example, it's actually browse the web, taking a cheeky little screenshot. We can play the footage of the browser use as well. So it's actually, if we keep scrolling forward here, you can see how it's just searching the web, doing lots of deep research, and the AI agent is just going off and figuring everything out. Pretty wild. And you can see here as well, like it's just analyzed, okay, here's what we need to do, here's how it's going to work, etc. And this is just one of the prompts that you can do step by step. So it's pretty wild. It's wild to see like Chinese AI just, move so quickly on this, right? Like we've seen the rise of DeepSeek and how that overtook ChatGPT and the SERPs. Now we're seeing the rise of Manus, the AI agent developed by Monica, and it was just launched a couple of days ago, right? So it's March the 8th today, and this was launched on March the 6th. I've seen it trending. I've seen people post about it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you pull that up, link in the comments description. I actually saw one of our legendary members, Ricardo, who said, is this going to be the game changer? And it's been pretty wild, Potentially this could be another Chinese victory when it comes to AI. So crazy stuff right here. And if we have a look through some of the examples, so you can see how it works step by step here. So it can just go off, it can research the internet, it can create different demos, it can browse the web, and it's really, really good at research as well. So this is a demo video as well from the co-founder and chief scientist. So you can see here as well, like you can upload resumes in a zip file. It has like this canvas option, and you can see how it's opening up the PDFs inside the zip. It seems to work really fast. I think this is a sped up version, to be fair, in the demo. But you can see how it just sort of flies through all the files, figures everything out, looks for everything, and just does its magic step by step. But not only that, but it can actually like create files directly on your laptop, which, ChatGPT Operator can't. Now, if you want to compare this side by side versus ChatGPT Operator, let me show you how that works. So if you go onto ChatGPT here, let me pull this up for you, and you can see an example. So if we come onto ChatGPT and then we go over to Operator in the top left here, we can start using Operator. And, you can say, for example, okay, let's compare this side by side versus Manus. So bear in mind, from what I've seen, Manus, I can't see any prices listed. So maybe it's going to be, a premium or freemium model in the future, but I can't see any prices listed yet. Whereas Operator, ChatGPT Operator, I paid for the Pro package, which is like, what, $200 a month, $2,400 a year. So if we pull this up right here, and I'm going to say inside the chat here, I need a 7-day Japan itinerary. We're going to click OK on that right here. And we'll see which one just gives us the best results so far. So it can operate the browser, which is great. I don't think it can actually create files for you, unlike Manus, which can actually create files directly in the chat. We'll wait for that to load. You can also take control, but you can see here how slow it is as well using the Operator browser. If we pull this up full screen, for example, it's only got to one website, and how long has that taken? Like a minute or so, something like that. Now, if we have a look at the details, we can see what it's doing. So it's researching, exploring. We'll keep this running in the background, and we'll come back to it occasionally during the video and just see how it does. But the way that I've seen this running this is far more impressive. Now, this is just one demo. Let's have a look at a few others here. So we've also got, for example, like deeply analyzed Tesla stocks. Let's have a look what we got on productivity, see if we've got anything interesting here. I'd be interested to see what it can do in terms of interacting with things, if that makes sense. So, how can it interact with the world, and can it, for example, like book things on the internet and that sort of thing as well? And let's see what we got here. So we can, for example, we'll go for this one. Buy real estate in New York. So it's kind of like a deep research agent. We're going to click on that. And then it's going to take a couple of minutes to load. Now you can see how it's running through. Right? So this is a recorded demo. Now, if you look at the speed of this, I don't know if this is sped up, right? But if you look at the speed of this compared to the speed of ChatGPT Operator, this is way, way slower. And it seems to like speed through the internet and it also seems to be a little bit smarter. Like the thing I noticed about ChatGPT Operator, for example, is like it gets stuck on a lot of websites. And also if there's any sort of capture, it just, you've got no chance. You've got absolutely no chance with ChatGPT Operator. Whereas Manus seems to like just do its magic step by step. So pretty interesting stuff right there. Let's keep going to see what we get next. So we've got the data analysis as well. So it can also create charts. Let's try that. So we'll create the company organizational charts. And I think this is the way the future is going. I know that, for example, recently Opera actually released an AI agent browser. This is the future of the internet, really. Let's have a look at this. Operator browser. So Opera browser unveils AI agent that handles online tasks for you. Similar sort of process, see, it's kind of like a similar chat setup. But from what I can see, Manus seems to be a lot more free and a lot more proven. I haven't really seen anyone speak about the ChatGPT Operator method. So it also seems to be using some sort of like deep reasoning model when it's going through the internet. So you see how it's coming up with thinking quite often at the bottom there. Pretty interesting. And then it's creating the chart step by step. So you can see these files right here. So if we preview the file, we can see the files that it's created. the leadership data, etc. And it can also edit files, like you can see right here. So you see the original, diff, and the modified. This is the research on real estate, so buying property in New York with low crime and education needs. And then again, we've got the files at the end of it. So it's found us like 4 different areas right there, some examples, and then we've got the results that we can preview. And you can also view all the files, and then you can just download them like so, right? So we can actually download that file directly from the chat right there. We can also locate it in the chat. And yeah, pretty wild. Whereas inside ChatGPT Operator, obviously this is in like a sort of, it's in a separate sort of virtual environment, but you wouldn't be able to download or edit files directly. Like it's just going to do the research, and quite often it does get stuck directly. Let's see what else people are saying about this. So yeah, it's kind of like a deep research and operator. The other thing here is like a lot of Chinese social media already knows about it, but it's not really that common. I think it's just been announced to the world, really, the rest of the world outside of China today. If you look at some of the reports and what's going on over here, what else we got here? Yeah, so Rowan Chung, he says, I think China's DeepSeek second moment is here. It's going crazy viral in China, probably only a matter of time until it hits the US. It's like deep research plus operator plus Claude computer use combined, and it's really good. Let's see what else we got here. So for the first test, Rowan asked Manus to create a biography on Rowan Chung and deploy a website based on that biography. And then it actually seemed to do it. So let's have a look what we got here. So you can see it's writing the biography, coming up the research, and then does it actually deploy the website? That's pretty crazy if it does. Yes, look at that. You actually got the website created based on the deep research about Rowan Chung and the tasks he's created there. And then, yeah, it's just designed the whole website. Let's have a look what we got here. So this test something a bit practical, top rental spots in San Francisco. And then you get the deep research reports back. You know, the thing is here, right? You can use, for example, ChatGPT Operator, but ChatGPT Operator is very, very slow. You know, you can see how long it takes. And also it just gets stuck. Like you can see how there's no files created here. So it's done all this research right here on the left-hand side, but there's no files or information or research created. Whereas if you go into Manus, it will actually create the files step by step for you, and it will edit files directly for you. You could also, for example, use something like Perplexity AI, but the problem with Perplexity AI is like it can't actually scroll through websites. So it doesn't have that computer use feature where it can look through the internet and scan for you. So if we go on to Perplexity, for example, and we're like, right, okay, give me some examples of real estate in New York. Like it can do a decent amount of research for you, but it's not going to be able to browse the web and scroll through websites and screenshot the image and then figure out, okay, what's going on here. It's just like a very basic sort of search feature, kind of like a glorified Google at that point. So it's kind of interesting to see how Manus is just hitting the web here. You can actually join their Discord channel, right? So they have a Discord channel here. Let me pull it up for you. Manus AI. And they seem to be releasing like invitation codes each day. I tried some of these and couldn't actually get them. You can see a lot of crying emojis right there. So you can actually as well go on to Twitter and you can reply to this tweet with a task that you'd like Manus to handle. And then the team will run a request based on what you want, right? So for example, see some examples here. Someone said, draft a proposal for a solar-powered self-sufficient home at these coordinates. Home should be 200 square meters, single floor, 3 attached garages, etc. And they actually replied, doing the search for them, which is pretty amazing. Let's have a look what else people have said here. So create a dynamic dashboard. And wow, is that hosted already? Let's pull this up and see what we got here. That'd be interesting. So it's doing a dashboard for Nvidia stock analysis. These demos must be sped up. They're so fast, it's crazy. If you're actually trying to sign up on the website directly, so if you click on Get Started here, you do need an invitation code. If you don't have a code, you have to apply for access. And then you put your email, you put some details about how they can help you, submit the request, and then hope to hear back. And also, it looks like daily they're releasing new invitation codes. So, for example, here, today, 1 p.m., well, 1:30 p.m., they released these invitation codes. When I checked a few hours later, like, they were all exhausted. And none of these codes were working, right? So if I grab that one and we go over to Manus, plug in the invitation code, hit Get Started, it will say resource exhausted, invitation code has reached the maximum amount. So it seems pretty hard to get access right now, but hopefully there's more access in the future. And also, we've got some cool use cases here. So inside the Discord channel, they're showing a bunch of use cases here. Pretty active Discord channel as well. You can see there's like 6,000 people right there. And then you've got like all these video demos that you can play right there. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens when that comes out. I can imagine it's either going to be free or it's going to be even cheaper than ChatGPT Operator. I mean, it can't get much more expensive, to be fair. And if you go back to Operator, like it's still not done any of the research, right? Let's be honest. I mean, the first couple of days that I tried it, it was interesting, but it hasn't improved since then. And that was about a month ago at least. So it's, ChatGPT Operator and all these other AI features are just getting replaced by Chinese AI at the minute. That's what I'm seeing as a continuous trend here. And it's pretty crazy. I don't know what's going to happen next. Let's see what else we got. So here's the report for Manus here. Manus, so yeah, just check it out. It's on the website. I would definitely check out the Discord as well. We can also review the benchmarks, right? So GAI is a benchmark for evaluating general AI assistance. And I never trust these benchmarks, but if you do trust these benchmarks, here they are, right? So you can compare the Gaia benchmark versus Manus AI versus OpenAI versus the previous SOTA, right? So you can see that Manus is absolutely destroying OpenAI deep research on all of these different levels, which is pretty interesting. And this was sourced from the deep research app directly. Let's see what else they're tweeting about as well. So we've got the details here. More updates coming. Yeah, I think the best way to test out is just actually post a reply to this tweet and try and get access that way. But yeah, you can see everyone's trying to get access. Maybe everyone in China got access first, something like that. So that is it from me, peeps. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments. If you haven't joined the AI Profit Boardroom yet, feel free to get that link in the comments description. This comes with all of my best SOPs, templates, tutorials, AI agents, and workflows, including how to automate email and content automations, social media and video, AI agents, web automation and scraping, AI SEO automations, and a crash course plus a bunch of SOPs. We also record the Q&A recordings that we do each week. You can ask inside the community if you have any questions. And additionally, you can jump on the weekly Q&A calls with us and just ask any questions that you have. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month, feel free to get that link in the comments description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales multiplier. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get an SEO domination plan. So this will be a custom tailored plan so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website. You will discover the secrets of SEO link building, answer any questions you have, you learn the best link building strategy for your website, and you'll learn how to 10x your SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments description. Appreciate you watching as always. See you on the next one. Bye bye. Manus the Chinese AI autonomous agent is absolutely wild. I'm going to be showing you exactly how it works, some examples of what it can create, how powerful it is. And this is a new technology that's just come from China. It can control your browser, it can do research for you, it can actually see your screen, it can do Google searches, it can create code, it can deploy websites even, and it's actually outperforming OpenAI's deep research model on many of the main benchmarks. Now, I'm going to be covering examples of how to use it, plus even how to set up a version of this offline locally on your terminal. I'll be running through the instructions and exactly how to set it up later in this video. This is by far the closest thing I've seen to AGI, and I'll show you some examples, but it can, for example, like control 50 different screens at a time. There's videos of people driving Teslas whilst the AI agent is briefing them for their next meeting. I've never seen anything like it, but we'll come on to that later. Let's go. The Chinese AI, Manus, is taking over the internet. It's pretty wild. I mean, here's a couple of examples. You can see this AI agent can control browsers. It can, for example, control like 50 different screens at a time. It can even chat, like you can see right here. Here's another example. And so this is someone basically using Tesla, like you can see, and then Manus is prepping all the talking points. So you've got Tesla driving, and then you also have Manus just doing all the instructions for the meeting, etc. Now, if you want to get access, it's available at manus.im. I'm also going to show you an open sourced version of this that's pretty interesting. This basically allows you to run Manus locally, and I'll be coming on to that in a minute, plus how I set it up. All the details and all the links from today are inside the AI Profit Boardroom. If you just go to the S&P section and then Manus, you can see all the instructions for setting this up, open source and everything else. But yeah, so here's an example of how it works. So if we click on like deeply analyze Tesla stocks, we can see a demo of how it works. We'll play this right here. And basically the prompt here is, I'd like thorough analysis of Tesla stock, including a summary, financial data, market sentiment, technical analysis, value investor, etc. Right? And you can see here how on the right hand side, it can just run commands. It can open up browsers. It actually has vision as well. So it can actually like interact with browsers and computer use and like scroll up and down the internet basically on its mission to really look through the internet. Now, the other thing that I've noticed is like compared to, other models, which I'll come on to later, that are available, for example, like ChatGPT Operator. ChatGPT Operator, it costs $200 a month, and it can't even do half the stuff that this can. This can also create like files as well, and it can also deploy to the internet different URLs that it creates, which is pretty wild as well. And you see here some of the images that it's created, which is pretty cool. So it can like analyze and look at charts. And also, if you want to skip through in the demos, like examples of what it looks like, etc., you can just click the forward arrows right here. And then once it's completed, you'll see an example like this. It's like, right, I've completed the market sentiment analysis for Tesla. Here's what I've noticed. So it's looked at like Yahoo Finance, research reports, insider trading activity, SEC filings, social media sentiment, and then it's come back like this. Plus, you can see all the files in the session. You can actually download these. So you can either preview it now, or you can download them later, right? So if we click on preview here, we can preview the images that it's used inside the document. Pretty wild. And then you can see the full chat right here. So there's a bunch of different demos that you can test out, like you can see. And also, when you're using this process, you can actually run this locally. So let me show you an example. Here's an example of me using Open Manus, which looks like an open source sort of recreated version of Manus. It just doesn't have the same UI, but it's running inside Terminal. Now, if you want to set that up, you can actually go to GitHub. Let me pull this up. It's inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to join and get the instructions for setting up. But basically, you can go to Open Manus on GitHub. I would definitely install it inside a virtual environment. So I use Minicoder to set this up. If you want the instructions on how to do that inside the AI Profit, so just click on the setup instructions right there and you'll learn how to set up. But basically, like you can see right here, you can basically do research just like Manus, but it's hosted locally. And it can still connect to the internet and everything else. It can still do, for example, like Google searches, and you can open up the browser and also. So what you do is you create a new content environment, clone the repository, install the dependencies. Probably took me about 30 minutes to figure out, okay, how to set up, but you can just follow the instructions here. It will save you a lot of time. And then I was wondering like whether this is legit or not, but it's got like 2,400 forks, 15,800 reviews, 155 people watching it. And it's created by these guys who are actually from Meta GPT's team, as you can see. So the problem with, for example, like trying to use Manus directly, if you go to get started here, is that if you want to start using it, you have to have an invitation code, right? And everyone's trying to get an invitation code right now. So it's very difficult to get access. Whereas if you set up locally, you can just get instant access today. You can also apply for access as well. I've tried a couple of times with a couple of different email addresses and not got access. And bear in mind, like, I have a decent social media following in the same niche. So you'd think maybe they would want to give you early access, but not so far. And then if you try and sign in, it just won't let you. So if we click on continue with Google and try opening this up, yeah, we can't get into it, right? There is also a Discord link inside the AI Profit Boardroom, but if you want to get access to the Discord, they do announce invitation codes like you can see right here. So they share about 5 invitation codes right here, but it's first come, first served, right? And there are literally thousands of people. There's like 7,000 people online just waiting for an invitation code. So it's really, really difficult to get it. Whereas if you set this up locally using the GitHub, then you can just run this locally and get access that way. And it seems to be a lot easier. So for example, if we come onto the local version right here, what you can say, for example, let me pull this up. I'll grab an example prompt. Let's grab this. All right. So if we go back onto terminal here, we've got it running. So we've got Manus, open Manus running here. And I'm going to say inside the chat, let me zoom in for you there. We're going to say, Manus, create a 7-day itinerary in Japan. All right. So we'll copy that in. Paste that in. So create a 7-day Tokyo itinerary with daily activities. And that's going to start running the request. Basically just doesn't have the UI, but it's using the same process. So you can see how it plans out the whole process. For example, and we'll say create a plan for visiting New York for 7 days. And we can start planning out the process. There we go. All right. So now it's actually doing, I had to just close it and then reopen it. So you can see here how it's actually Googling, for example, and it's actually opened up this browser here as well. So you can actually, like, for example, use google.com or Google Flights or whatever, and start scanning through the internet, which is pretty cool. And also the API that it's using when it's doing this whole process is a combination of Claude. So I set Claude 3.5 Sonnet for vision. And then for actually using the research and the planning and just the main LLM, we've used ChatGPT, GPT-4o, right? And you can see here how it's just going off, researching flights, navigating, entering travel details, etc. Right? And then it plans out the next steps for you. So it also gives you a update of the steps so far. So for example, it's on step 8 out of 30 so far. And then you just get an update step by step. So if we scroll through the chat here, you can see how it's set up and use different things. It's also got a bunch of tools built in. So for example, like browser use tool, that sort of thing. It's not as fast as the demos make it out to be, but this is the open source version, right? So it's not the main version of Manus. And it will just go off and start doing its magic. So we'll wait for that to load in the background. In the meantime, we can have a look through a few more use cases and that sort of thing. And so, for example, here, we've got a WTF section. So for example, like brand identity design. Let's pull up this demo right here. We'll see what we get back. And it seems to be able to run like terminal commands as well. So it can code, it can edit, it can use computer use. It can actually read pages live. And then it can also create files that you can download. So you can, for example, download that. And then if we open this up, we should have the folder. And then you can start using it. You can also preview the files here. And you can view all the files directly. See all the documents, the images, the code files, and the links. Let's come back to terminal, see where we're at here. So it's now doing another Google search, looking through Skyscanner, coming up with a plan. Let's see what else we got here. And this is on step 28 out of 30. So you can also do like audio engineering. Let's pull this up. So design sound effects that mixes birds chirping with stream sounds lasting around 3 seconds. Here's a bunch more examples, right? So this is a tweet by Min Choi. So you can, for example, like create an interactive website based on data insights. So it can actually, like, for example, code the website, but then on top of that, like you can see, you can actually deploy it to the web. Let's see what else we got here. We got interactive gaming. Seem to have created like a role-play simulation as President Zelensky. Some crazy stuff people are doing with this. Travel plan with maps. Website SEO optimization. So for example, you can like look at your website, give you some tips on how to improve. Plus, I guess it can read the HTML as well. Stock analysis, candidate interview schedules, B2B supplier sourcing. So there's a lot of use cases for this. It just looks a lot more freer than something like, for example, ChatGPT Operator. Let's test another prompt here. So I'm going to say, plan out and find me some interesting things to do on the internet today. Plus do a stock analysis of Tesla. Let's try some of these prompts that we actually got online from the use cases. I think you might have to shut this down. So I'm going to press Control and C, and then we'll plug in the prompt again for running it on Python. So let's grab that over here, copy that command. And then from here, we are going to grab, let's have a look here. Here we go. Let's grab that. Yeah, so it looks like, so for example, let's open up the browser again there. So it looks like if you're running it locally, the best way to do that is just Control and C, shut it down, then open it up again each time you want to run this. Otherwise, it doesn't seem to work properly. It just goes into like some weird planning mode. Let's try the potential customers one. So we're going to play this now, see what we get back. By the way, so when you're using the local version as well, you just want to make sure that you do have, for example, the API plugged in directly inside the .env, right? So just make sure you have Claude 3.5 Sonnet set up, or even 3.7 Sonnet might be better. And then from there, add your OpenAI details as well. If you're wondering how to set that up, you can actually go inside Open Manus. So you just set up this config file, and then you can choose your LLM configuration and also your LLM vision configuration, like so. But yeah, it seems to be able to do like Google searches pretty easily, and it can open up the browser as well, which is useful. The local version though, it's just, I don't think I would use this normally, right? Like, it's nowhere near as good as, for example, using something like web browser UI or something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend the local version. It's worth testing, just see what it's like. I don't know if I've set that up properly or not, but it looks pretty terrible if you ask me. So thanks so much for watching. If you want access to the whole process for setting this up locally with Open Manus, feel free to get that, plus the Discord link and everything else. It's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Prices are going up very shortly, so make sure you join before you miss out, and to lock in your legacy price. And also, if you want to save hundreds of hours and make more money with AI, this is the best place to do it. It comes with all my best automations like email and content, social media and video, AI agents, web automation and scraping. Plus, this gets updated every single day, along with a crash course for saving hundreds of hours and some of my best automations. On top of that, there's a community of 289 members. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask inside the community and we'll be happy to help you. Link in the comments and description to that. Additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors per month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that. On this free link building acceleration session, you get a free SEO domination plan that's custom tailored to your business. So you can get more leads, sales, and profits and customers to your website. On top of that, you'll be able to ask us any questions. Now, normally this will cost thousands of dollars. You get it for free on this one-to-one call, and you'll learn how to increase your SEO traffic so you can scale your business based on what's working for us and our happy clients Manus, the Chinese AI autonomous agent, versus ChatGPT Deep Research Mode versus ChatGPT Operator versus Perplexity Deep Research. Who wins? I'm going to be testing them out and comparing them side by side in terms of outputs, and we'll see who wins. Plus, I'll show you several examples. Let's go. So, what we're going to do from here is we're going to compare the results that you get directly from Manus versus the results that you get back directly from Perplexity and ChatGPT Claude. So we'll get Operator on this side. We'll grab Perplexity here as well. So Perplexity has like a deep research method as well. Operator is kind of like similar because it uses browser use too. And bear in mind, like with Manus, you can fully control web browsers. You can create downloadable files. You can deploy websites, perform deep research. So it kind of combines all of the best features, but we'll test it versus ChatGPT and Perplexity now as well. And just to recap here, so Manus is a Chinese AI, and it's kind of like the DeepSeek moment. You know, when DeepSeek came out and it kind of shook the world a little bit, it was like a lot faster and a lot cheaper than using ChatGPT. This is kind of a similar situation where it's just absolutely blown up. I mean, for example, if you go on to Twitter and you look at all the trending news around this, it's pretty wild. See, like, a lot of people are tweeting about it now. And bear in mind as well, like, ChatGPT was talking about doing a $20,000 per month AI agent plan. That was something that was leaked from the information. That's the source for that. But this is kind of like combining everything together, right? So it's kind of like Claude plus an MCP server, plus deep research, plus ChatGPT Operator in one single thing. And like, loads of Chinese social media is going crazy about this. So let's compare it versus, for example, ChatGPT Operator and Perplexity. What I'm going to do is we'll go to use cases and we'll just compare it side by side versus this prompt right here. In fact, I've already shown that one, so we're going to do this one. So we'll grab this prompt. I'm going to say, I'm a middle school physics teacher preparing to teach the law of conservation of momentum. Could you create a series of clear and accurate demonstration animations and organize them into a simple presentation, HTML? We'll do that with Operator, and we'll do that directly with Perplexity as well. Now, you could also, for example, try and use Claude, but the problem with Claude is it's not connected to the internet, right? So it's only going to have data. It's not going to be able to do deep research for you. So if you want to do deep research, really, your only two options are like ChatGPT, ChatGPT Operator, and also Perplexity. We can also, for example, like use a deep research method on ChatGPT as well. So I'll try that. We can just compare them. So this is ChatGPT Deep Research, Operator, and also Perplexity, right? Using the deep research feature. Now, the biggest difference here is like this can browse live web pages, similar to Operator, but look at the speed of Operator. Like, look how slow it is when it's actually looking through pages. And also it tends to get stuck a lot. So for example, if it's searching something on Google Maps, that's going to be blocked. And also YouTube is blocked directly inside Operator. Whereas Manus doesn't seem to have those sort of limitations. And also I like the fact that you don't have to open up the thinking here. So if you want to see updates from ChatGPT Operator, you don't get updates inside the chat. You have to click inside each one of these, but it doesn't really give you much of an update. Whereas inside Manus, you get all these breakdowns step by step, plus the files as you go along. So for example, you've got like the zip files here, you can preview them, you can view all the files in the session, and then it also hosts it on an open URL. So this is the output from Manus, and it's actually done exactly what we needed to, whereas I don't think ChatGPT Operator will be able to do it. But let's come back to it now. So it's like, would you like me to proceed with creating the HTML presentation? I'm going to say yes. Perplexity is still thinking about it, and Deep Research is asking me for a few answers, so I'm just going to click yes. Also, I mean, who is using Bing.com? Right, so Bing.com is loading here. But if I was an AI agent, I'm not going to go to Bing.com for my answers, right? I'm going to use something like, for example, Google. Google would be pretty straightforward, right? Let's see if Manus.space is actually indexing on Google as well. We can probably see some of the other stuff people are creating. So let's check that out. Yeah, so you can see a couple of pages of examples here. I'm not going to open that up for now. So someone has created a SaaS tool with testimonials inside Manus.space, right? So just to be clear here, like all the deployments from Manus are going to Manus.space, and then some of this stuff is actually indexed. You can see how a lot of this is in Chinese as well. It seems to be way, way more open in China. And I actually saw as well, like if you type on reddit.com and you search Manus, a lot of the results are actually based in Asia, right? So this is Thai, Chinese. Like there's not many people in English talking about it. I think it's just not fully come out to the world yet. Let's put Manus AI and see what else we got here. See what people are saying about it. So these are the benchmarks as well, if you haven't seen them already. So the Gaia benchmark compared to OpenAI Deep Research. And this is Manus in black with OpenAI in dark gray. And you can see the benchmarks here, like Manus is absolutely destroying it. I never really trust those benchmarks, but you can see the difference. Let's pull up some examples here. So this was the 50 screens example. It just looks terrifying that an AI agent just go through the internet and do that. And apparently as well, it's going to be open source. I mean, this is the other interesting thing about Chinese AI at the minute. I saw an interesting theory on this. I'm going to pull this up and see what you think. So this is from Hader on Twitter. And he basically said, no surprise, China is open sourcing everything on purpose to crash US market, right? So I don't know if you saw this, but the situation with DeepSeek, right, was like it actually impacted the stock market to the point where Nvidia's stock price crashed as soon as DeepSeek came out. If you haven't seen that already, I've got a video about it recently. But basically, it actually plummeted Nvidia's stock price by 17%, right? And that's a huge amount to impact in like, the space of a few days. And on top of that, when DeepSeek was released, it actually resulted in a single day loss of nearly $1 trillion in market value for the US tech sector, right? Why? Because it's open source, and also because DeepSeek's API is just way cheaper, right? So it kind of shocked the market that you could be so efficient with it. And if it's the same thing with Manus as well, when it gets fully released, then it's going to be pretty wild. It absolutely could impact the US stock market. Bear in mind, like the S&P 500 is mostly dominated by Nvidia. And so if that impacts Nvidia's stock price again, then that could create like massive changes in the market again. I'm not saying like the whole US market is going to get destroyed, but would it have an impact on the stock prices again? Absolutely. So I've got the HTML back from Perplexity now, but the thing is, it's not going to deploy it to a URL, right? Whereas, for example, with Manus, if we come back here, we can actually see the deployment, and it's deployed on a subdomain. And then we can click through each of these. So let's compare this now. We're going to grab this HTML, and we'll just see how it performs and how it holds up versus Manus's AI. We'll preview this on LiveWeave. So this is the output from Perplexity versus the output of Manus, right? And we'll pull these up side by side so you can see. So just to be clear here, Manus on this side, split up. So this is Manus's output, and this is the code from Perplexity. If you compare them, like, look at the difference in coding. All right, so for example, you got a full menu here. You have a UI that actually works. This UI doesn't seem to work at all. Let's see if, I don't think it's put any JS or CSS to add in there. No, not at all. Oh, we've got the JS there. Let's pull that up. We'll try it out. So we'll put the JS in there. I'm just going to plug all of this JS in. It is a little bit more fiddly, like not having a subdomain that is hosted on live. But to be fair, I'm impressed with Perplexity's output. So let's compare them side by side now. So it's actually working. And if we click through each of these, this actually works. We can click play, and that'll work perfectly, right? If we switch to LiveWeave, so the output from Perplexity, the UI is just not as nice. There's no like real explanation of what's going on. There's no like buttons where you can play or pause or reset on Perplexity's output. And so the coding output is much better directly from Manus. And that's the biggest difference here is like Perplexity is a great research tool, but it's not like designed for coding, right? It's not out and out designed for stuff like this. Let's see what else we got here. So we're going to go over to Operator. And it said task pause while you're away. That's not great, but okay, let's review it. So basically, ChatGPT Operator is going nowhere, right? It's been like 15 minutes. It's not really doing anything there. So, I mean, the problem with ChatGPT Operator is like realistically, it would just be faster doing it yourself or just using an AI tool manually, right? Especially if it pauses whilst you're using other tabs, because then, the whole point of this is like this can do stuff whilst you're not looking. And if it pauses in between tasks and then you have to go back and manually click it again, super annoying. So, Perplexity probably comes out second there when it comes to the research job. Manus comes out number one with the outputs. And then ChatGPT Operator is obviously coming out last. Like it's not doing anything right there. It's not very useful at all. So this gives you an idea for how ChatGPT and Perplexity and Manus all compare to each other. Let's compare on another task right here. So I'm going to go over to productivity and then let's pull up this one, website SEO optimization. So we'll hit play on that and see what it does. So this prompt is run a thorough SEO audit on Kapathi's website and deliver a detailed optimization report with actionable recommendations. All right. And it will just go off and do its magic. So let's try the same thing inside Perplexity as well. I'm just going to give up on ChatGPT Operator because it seems to be, look at that. I've not even been away for 2 minutes and it's paused the task. It's just a total nightmare. All right, we'll try another one. That's what $2,400 a year gets you. ChatGPT Deep Research is still loading for 4.0. So, I mean, the thing about ChatGPT Deep Research is like, it's very, very thorough, but it's almost to the point where there's no information filter, right? It just gives you too much information. It's not very practical. And also, there's a massive limit on this. I think you only get like 30 searches per month, even if you're paying $200 per month. So it's not ideal, but let's just open up a new tab anyway. And we can come back to the other deep research report in a minute. So I'm going to open up a new tab. We'll select deep research and we'll do the same thing here. The key thing to note here is this is just like a deep research tool. Perplexity can do coding and deep research, but not deploy stuff. And it can't really browse live pages, right? So it's not going to like scroll through live pages in terms of like vision use. It's more like just doing Google searches. But with Manus, you can actually like see pages. It can do the deep research, it can code, and also is very quick. On top of that, it can also deploy, right? So it can deploy live domains. Kind of like Claude artifacts can, right? So for example, if you go into Claude, right? You look, for example, we've got a Super Mario Bros. Clone here that we created. And you can actually deploy this. So you can click on publish here, publish and copy the link, and then this will actually deploy to an artifacts feature, right? Which is pretty cool. And then you can just play the game and whatever. All right, I'll put that inside there. Well, it's already inside the AI profit boardroom if you want to see this cloned example. But within, for example, ChatGPT, within Perplexity, you can't do that. You can't deploy to subdomains. And inside Manus as well, it seems like you can as well. So here's the research that you've got back. It does give you a lot more updates. It can navigate the web. It gives you all the details. And then also the other biggest difference is like this can create downloadable files that you can just download and preview and everything else, right? So if we open up the SEO audit report, we'll download that, or we can just preview it, and you've got the report right here, right? Whereas if you go onto Perplexity, I mean, that's pretty good. I would almost say, like, if you compare the side by side, like, this is actually giving you, like, practical examples of how to improve the web page, what to do, technical SEO structures. I might even say, honestly, the Perplexity actually beats Manus in terms of the outputs there. So Manus gives us a few different HTML improvements and what we can do, etc. But actually, if you compare it, Perplexity gives us way more. So I'm going to put Perplexity number one there. Manus comes out second from what I can see. I mean, this is totally hopeless, right? Like, we've already told it what to do. And ChatGPT Operator can preview in the browser, but it's so slow. So it's like, I found an SEO tool, audit tool called this. Should I proceed? And it's like, mate, we just told you what to do. So ChatGPT Operator didn't even do it. I would put that as a fail, honestly. And then if we look, deep research is just going to take a long time. It is doing a lot of research there and it's analyzing everything. Maybe the report will be really good, but that's probably going to have to take another 20, 30 minutes. So I just think it's impractical in terms of speed, right? So in terms of all three tasks, Perplexity is coming out number one. Manus comes out number 2. Operator, I would say failed. And I mean, I'd have to guess here because I don't have enough time on the stream, but I would say ChatGPT Deep Research Method probably comes out third there. So that's pretty much it for me. If you want to get access to all of my best prompts, tips, strategies, agents, workflows, etc., feel free to get that. And we've also got a Manus AI section inside the AI Profit Boardroom, right? So if you want to run this stuff locally, based on what's worked for me, feel free to get that. Link in the comments and description. I'll show you how to set this up. So you just go to Manus like so. So on the GitHub, which is, all these links and everything else I've referenced today is inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And then, for example, we can grab this, let's go into terminal. We're going to set up Coda environment, like you can see. Then we can clone the repository directly from GitHub. And then we're going to run this like so. So we run the requirements. And then we're just going to run the Python code. I've already set up the AI configuration for this, so the API files and everything else. So it's going to take a little while for this to run. It's going to download and install the files here. Has it got stuck? Looks like it's still installing there. And then once you've done that, you would just set up the Python code like you saw earlier in the video. So it's still downloading there. And then you can just install your prompt, right? So for example, we can say create a 7-day plan for visiting Tokyo with a day-by-day breakdown of what to do each day and where to visit. Honestly, though, like I think if I had to compare all of these, like I would genuinely say the local version is probably better than ChatGPT Operator, but it's way worse than the original version of Manus. But you can see here it has come back to us instantly with the files, right? So it's like, right, arrival and exploration of Shibuya, cultural experience, modern Tokyo and Shinku. So it comes back with the plan, which is pretty good. And it can do Google researches as well. So, yeah. So that's pretty much it. There you got the demo. You got the setup instructions. You know how to set this up locally. If you want all the examples of how I set it up, you can get it along with the links to Discord, etc. And additionally, inside here, we've also included an example of how to set up, right? So if you want the open source section, I've got the step-by-step instructions of exactly how to install that with Claude. Along with that, it comes with all my best recipes on like AI agents, DeepSeek AI agents, etc. You've got a community where you can ask 288 people on how to set up AI. And this also comes with weekly calls with me inside the AI Profit Boardroom. The prices are going up on the 10th of March, which is tomorrow for me. And then this also comes up with, all these different automations on like social media, email automation, web automation, AI agents, crash courses, etc. So loads of cool stuff there. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and the description. On this free SEO strategy session, we'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 business a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a custom tailored game plan so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website. You'll discover the secrets to SEO link building, answer any questions you have one-to-one. You'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, plus how to quickly outrank your competitors with link building. And by the way, when you can ask those questions, like these are one-to-one questions where normally you would pay an SEO consultant like thousands of dollars for this, and you get it completely for free on this link building acceleration session. So if you want to get more customers for your website, if you want to rank number 1 on Google, then feel free to book that in. And you've literally got nothing to lose by booking it in based on what's working for all our happy clients, like you can see. So feel free to book that in. Appreciate you watching, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Today, I'm going to show you how to build and automate anything in one click using Manus AI. Now, this is a new AI agent that's just come out from China. It is absolutely unbelievable what it can do. For example, in one click, I just said, research Julian Goldie, build and deploy the best possible website you can about him. It went off, it did all its magic, browsed the internet, created the files, coded it, ran the terminal, and then we've got the website deployed and ready to go right there. Boom shakalaka. And this website is better than any other agent that I've seen build out websites. You can see, for example, the content is comprehensive. It's personalized to me. This can also, for example, plan out whole trips. So I said plan a trip to Lower Manhattan in June. And this AI agent came back with better research than any other human that I've hired, right? It's absolutely terrifying how powerful this AI agent is. and it does everything in one click. You just say, do this. It's like, sure, mate, I'll do it. And I'll get it done right away. Like you can see, the tasks are actually executed almost perfectly. Here's another example. So we asked it to create and deploy the best and most useful tool you can for my SEO agency, Goldie Agency. This is for lead generation. It can also work on multiple tasks at once. So for example, if we give this a prompt and then we give this a prompt, it's like having a team of AI agents just go off and to build and deploy and automate things for you at the same time. So you can build like an army of people. There was a video going viral of like 50 screens at once being used using this process. And on top of that, you might be wondering, okay, why and how is this different to everything else? Well, number one, it can fully control web browsers. It can create downloadable files in the chat. It can deploy websites from single prompts. It can perform deep research faster than competitors. It can browse the web for you, and it can host directly to subdomains like you can see right here. So this is the tool that we ask it to create in one single prompt. If you go to the dashboard inside the SaaS tool that we created, I mean, how much money would it take you to create something like this? Or how much time or effort or energy would it take you? Or how long would it take you to find someone who can actually create something like this in the space of minutes? A lot, right? Whereas this is just deployed and ready to go, and we've got a full-blown SaaS software plus a front end plus the actual homepage for the website ready to go, right? That's how powerful this is. So finally got access to a Manus AI with an invitation code, and you can see I've got access directly in the dashboard right here. I know like literally hundreds of people have reached out to me asking like how to get access, and you can see we have access right here. I've actually run it through a few different tests today already, and it is looking absolutely awesome. Let me show you an example of this. So here's a website we actually created and deployed directly in the chat. And I just gave it one single prompt, and this AI agent just went off and created the whole website about me. It even did the research. It's created the about me pages. The design is better than, things I've seen created with Claude and things I've seen with, for example, like Bolt.new as well. And also, we'll be comparing it side by side versus DeepSeek as well. But it is unbelievable from what I've seen. So, for example, if we click on the about me page here, it's created like a really nice website, and literally all we did inside the chat here was just say research Julian Goldie, then build and deploy the best possible website you can about him. And you can see I'll run you through like the whole chat and how it worked step by step down here. But yeah, and it literally created this whole website. Like this is hosted on a subdomain, manus.space, and it's created the home page, the about page. Let's check if the services work as well. Yeah, so it's created the services, and this is all custom tailored to me, right? So it's all personalized to me and what our agency sells, etc. Viresh says, is it free? So far, I've not paid a single penny for this, so it has been completely free. I also have a SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Let me show you how to get access. So if you go inside the classroom here and then go to the SOP section, you'll see my instructions for setting up Open Manus as well. But this is using the live version of Manus. But if you want the free open source version of Open Manus, which is totally separate, then you can set that up using the instructions inside here in the SOP step by step. So you can see exactly how this runs step by step. Let me zoom in for you so it's a bit easier. But basically, step by step, we just say build a website, and then it will just go off. And it's like, right, okay, here's what we're going to do step by step. So it's like, right, I'll help you research Julian Goldie and build a comprehensive website about him. I'll start by gathering information about Julian Goldie, then design and develop a website based on that research and finally deploy it. Let me get started straight away. So it connects to the data source. So it actually goes to LinkedIn, which is pretty wild. So it just went straight to LinkedIn, search people on LinkedIn, search for Julian Goldie, and then you can see what it's done right here. So it can actually run like terminal requests as well. It can host websites. It can actually browse directly inside the chat here as well. So if we go inside the browsing section, it's actually gone to juliangoldie.com and scrolled through the website. And then if we click the forward arrow lines here, you can see what it's interacting with step by step. So it's actually gone to Julian Goldie and also to goldstarlinks.com, which is absolutely wild. And then what it's done is it's basically looked through the information. It's collected the personal information about us, right? So it's like, right, his name's Julian Goldie. He's from Manchester, England. Here's his profession. Here's the company, some professional background information about him. Here's his expertise. And here's the links to his main funnel. So even like calculated how many LinkedIn followers we have, how many YouTube subscribers we have, it actually managed to scrape my my Instagram bio as well. So you can see here it says Instagram bio, and step by step, it just found all this information about me, right? But that's not even the impressive part. Like that's kind of deep research, but it goes way deeper than that. So if we keep scrolling through, it's creating some terminal commands, creating like the page.tsx for the website. Then it actually deploys it. So it's deployed a website right here using the terminal commands. And then it's created the style CSS, the main.js, downloaded the images, added more images, index.html, etc. Right? And then just created this whole website right here. And if we scroll down directly in the chat, we can see that it just created this website right here. It's like, right, great news. I've successfully redesigned and redeployed the Julian Goldie website with a more beautiful and modern design. The website is now live out here. Right? I will be 100% honest. At one point, when it first did the website, it said it created a website and deployed it, but nothing was showing up, right? But then I just said, can you make the design more beautiful, more modern? And just said nothing is showing up when I open it. I was like, right, I apologize about that. We're going to execute the commands, create the files, and then host it, right? And the website that we got back is really, really nice. As you can see, like I could just go live with that website. It's good to go, you know? It's even got like a contact us page where people can like enter the name, email, website, all looks super modern. Plus this is all customized and there's no hallucinations here. Like this is perfect. This is absolutely ready to go. It's even got links to our social media profiles. I didn't ask it to add that, but you can see here it has found and created social media icons with links directly to our profiles, right? Along with our main website, location, email address. Absolutely awesome. So the thing to note here, right, is that this is totally different to something like DeepSeek. DeepSeek, for example, it can do basic stuff, but quite often if you use, for example, the deep search method, if we use exactly the same prompt inside DeepSeek, let me refresh the page for you there. We're going to plug this in and we're going to say, okay, research Julian Goldie, then build and deploy the best possible website you can about him. And again, this was one click, right? Literally all we did was just give it one click and say, right, go off, do that, work your magic, etc. And it did it, right? It actually deployed the website. This is going to go off and create something, but we'll see what it does in a minute. We can also try the same thing on ChatGPT and see how it compares. Bear in mind, like ChatGPT is it's $1 billion company at this point, right? And one of the leaders in the world. But it's probably not going to be able to deploy the website. It can do the research fairly quickly, but we'll see what we get back in a second. Yeah, so look at that, right? We say research Julian Goldie, build and deploy the best possible website about him. Bear in mind, this is the leading AI company in the world, right? Biggest AI company in the world, billions of dollars in revenue generated. I think they're trying to get to like something like $17 billion this year. And also they were talking about launching these $20,000 agents. But if you compare this to Manus, which seems to be free so far, I haven't seen any pricing plans. I don't know whether they're going to charge later. But if you compare this to Manus just goes off and does whatever you want it, right? It's basically, when you think of that scary AI agent that can replace humans, Manus is it. Whereas if you compare that to ChatGPT is still like, it's just not going to go off and do stuff, right? It hasn't deployed the website, hasn't even designed the website, hasn't coded it. It did do the research, but that was it. It literally stopped there. If we compare it to DeepSeek, DeepSeek has done something very basic here. So number one, the search service actually failed completely. So it failed at the first task, so it couldn't do the research. And then also, if we have a look here, it's not deployed the website, and it's not even created any HTML code when we've asked it to, right? So if you compare DeepSeek versus Manus, which actually creates a website, codes it, researches the web, works perfectly first time, and all we have to do is give it one single prompt, the difference is absolutely huge, right? That's the output from Manus. That's the output from DeepSeek. Like, I can't do anything with that. And also, you see here how it says featured projects, and then there's no information here. That doesn't help. If we have a look at ChatGPT, it's not coded the website. Like all these other AI tools that seem like the best in the world now seem absolutely basic, right? Like that, this is not human intelligence level at all. Whereas you look at Manus and you're like, this is better than a human. Like this is AGI level stuff. So it's pretty wild right here. let's see what we got in the comments so far. So Viresh says, tell us an effective way to use Manus for all software development techs. I'm not a software development tech, but here's the way that I would do it, right? So if I wanted to use Manus for software building, let's say, for example, I'm like, right, okay, I'm an SEO. I want to create the best SEO tool I can. I'm going to say, okay, create and deploy best and most useful tool you can for my SEO agency, Goldie agency. All right. This is, maybe we put, this is for lead generation, something like that. And then what this can do is just go off and start building that out, right? So it's like, right, I'll help you create and deploy a useful SEO lead generation tool for Goldie agency. I'll start working on this right away and keep you updated on my progress, right? Probably take about 15 minutes to go off and do that, but we can come back to it later. Let's see what other stuff we got. Viresh says, build different kind of AI agents with easy explanation and deploy on free platforms. So we've already done that, right? So for example, if we pull this up, we've done that with the website deployment here. This is an AI agent that's gone off and done its magic. The same for this. So what I actually said to Manus was create a 30-day trip for Lower Manhattan in June, right? That's something that an actual AI agent could go off and do. It's something that, for example, you would pay a research assistant or a personal assistant top dollar to do something like this, right? And it's like, right, I'm just going to help you go off and do it. And then you can see it's actually created all these files directly inside here, right? Now, if you ask, for example, ChatGPT to do the same thing, it's not going to be able to create the actual files that are downloadable. So if we open this up, we can see all the attractions in Lower Manhattan specifically that we could go for. And I actually said, like, do it for June, right? And you can see in this list here, if we pull this up, let me find June inside here. So I actually found like some events for June 2025. So for example, like the Governor's Ball Music Festival, dates June 6th to 8th, 2025. So like it's really intelligent stuff. Plus the content itself is not overwhelming. And additionally, it's also giving us some tips for the 30-day stay. It's perfectly formatted. It's all specific for Lower Manhattan, not just for New York. And yeah, it was top level. And that was just one part of it. It also created a comprehensive 30-day trip plan, like you can see, with accommodation options. So it recommended specific areas of Lower Manhattan. It also gave us hotels. So it gave us a hotel breakdown of like, okay, luxury options, mid-range options, and budget-friendly options. Along with that, it gave us some extended stay options. So the Empire Hotel, for example, which comes with 30% off for stays of longer than 7 nights. And it also gave us like some recommendations on how much you're going to spend, etc. Like this is by far the most useful and actionable report I've ever seen from an AI agent. And it's super intelligent stuff. It's even, for example, told us like, okay, these are the toiletries you need to take. These are your packing checklist, cost saving tips, budget ranges, etc. Like really awesome stuff. Kyle says, I want into this program so bad. So the invitation codes are pretty limited right now. But one thing I'd recommend is you go to the AI Profit Boardroom and you check out Open Manus, right? I have the instructions on how to set up the open source version of Manus, which is Open Manus. It's available on GitHub. And I also have a video tutorial that runs you through exactly how to set it up. So if you want to set it up for free using this process, then there's a free SOP on exactly how to set up Manus right there. What else we got? Yeah, Kyle says, this is the most powerful thing I've ever seen. I would agree with you there. I think it's absolutely wild how good it is. It's unbelievable how actionable and practical it is. And yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, for example, here, we can just say, go off and do this. And it actually does it. Like, what other AI tool on the planet do you know of that can do that, right? Which tool on the planet do you know that can, number one, go off and code stuff. Number 2, deploy it. Number 3, connect live to the web. Number 4, create files. And number 5, give you something that's actually personalized to you and actually is useful, right? I mean, even something like Bolt.new that you normally pay like, top dollar for, if you do the same thing. So if we go to Bolt.new here, which is another paid AI tool, right? And we'll say create and deploy the best and most useful tool. And we're not going to do that one, actually. We're going to do the example that actually worked. So this one, Research Student Goldie, blah, blah, blah. And we'll compare the output side by side, right? So this is another sort of AI coding agent that can do similar things and code similar things, but the output, I can almost guarantee is not going to be as good, but we can compare them side by side. So we'll come back to that in a minute once bolt.new is finished coding. And Manus gives response with pictures, absolutely. So here's the other thing about Manus is like it actually has this ability to browse the web directly, right? So for example, if we go onto the browsing section here, so it's browsingjuliangoldie.com, and you can see how it's actually jumped through step by step on the website. So if we pull this up, pull up the browsing, there's no other AI agent that I know of apart from Claude that can browse the web directly like this, scroll through actual websites, and then give you the preview, right? So you can see, for example, here, it's using its vision and its computer use power to scroll through the web, look through, for example, like LinkedIn profiles like this, and then gather the information we need to complete the task. What else we got here? So OpenManus looks good and it can run local, but not the same abilities as this version of Manus. So you should check out the video tutorial inside the AI Profit Boardroom. It's not as good as Manus, but if you're waiting for an invitation code, and if you need something that can browse the internet, search through, etc., then this is one of the best ways to do it. Kyle says, I asked to be on the wish list and join the Discord. Thousands of people are in the Discord. Yeah, from what I actually heard, the Discord is blocked for OpenManus. So if we go onto OpenManus here, Manus AI, some people were telling me they couldn't get into OpenManus anymore. And I haven't seen any more invitation codes come out since the 8th of March, which was 2 days ago, right? So if we scroll through the chat here, literally there's 11,000 people online inside the Discord just waiting for a code. And you can see all the reactions here. Like people are desperately trying to get access to this stuff and no one has access really apart from a few people. And thankfully, I'm one of the lucky few. But that's why I'm testing it for you. I mean, if you want me to actually, for example, test this out for you and give you some prompts, like just let me know. And if you, a lot of people are asking me for invitation codes, but just go to the AI Profit Boardroom. Number one, because there's an awesome community of people who probably will get invitation codes later. And number two, inside the SAP section here, you can get OpenManus. And OpenManus is the closest thing you're going to get to Manus. It's still better than ChatGPT. Like, for example, if you check ChatGPT and that output we asked for before, it's just nowhere near as good. So we've got the output back from bolt.new right here. And we can preview this full size, right? So let me show you an example of what Manus did versus bolt.new, right? Bear in mind, Manus doesn't specialize at this. Bolt.new does specialize at this. Now, they've both deployed to a subdomain, like you can see. But which one would you prefer? If I had to actually click on both of these, I'm going to go with this one, right? And the reason for that is because this one actually funnels traffic to booking in a call, which is what we want from our website, whereas this one is funneling traffic to LinkedIn and to Twitter as well. And number two as well, this is a lot more generic, right? So if you have a look at this, the content itself, we have a look at the page, like how well does this sell us? Well, it's only got 78 words, so it doesn't sell us that great, right? It doesn't say that much information about us. It's very, very brief. If we have a look at this, it's like, who is Julian Goldie? Well, here's his expertise, and here's who he is, right? And it's a lot more in depth, it's a lot more in detail, and it also gives us a lot better research in terms of like, okay, he's had 6 years of experience, he goes into the granular details, he's got a team of 70 people, etc. It's also got an About Us page as well. The other thing to note here is like, if you compare Bolt's output versus Manus, and bear in mind, both of them were one-click AI agents, but if you look at Manus's example, it's actually got a full navigation bar here, and also the design just feels a lot more modern and new, right, in the way that it's created. It's also found information about the book and what the book is, etc. And it's also come up with like a career milestone section here. And the design just looks much more modern if we have a look at it. And then finally, of course, it sells our services. It has a whole services page. This website right here from bolt.new doesn't have a services page at all, right? And so the difference in class is just absolutely outrageous. Like you get so much more from Manus and, you know, what it's creating. And a lot of people were saying, Manus is a fake tool, or, you know, like they're great at advertising, but the tool doesn't actually do all this stuff. I think they've over-delivered in terms of what it does. Like this AI agent is better than I expected. I expected to test it out and like, you know, maybe it'd be interesting, but not that great, etc. It's way smarter than I imagined. It's the closest thing to AGI I've ever seen. Let's be honest. And yeah, some people are saying like it created its own web scraper, which is absolutely amazing. Nicholas says, mate, you should really disclose you're getting paid for promoting these tools. I'm not getting paid to promote this at all, right? I've had zero payment to promote this at all. And usually, honestly, we just promote our own products rather than anything else. Reason that we promote our own products inside these videos is we make more money, right? We turn down like 99.9% of partnership deals. What else we got here? So tell me how to get this website on live. All right. So if you want to get, let's say, for example, you create a website with Manus and you want to get it live, for example, like this one right here. Let's pull this up. Number one, it is live and it is deployed. But if you want to, for example, like get all the files from Manus, like so, let's pull this up. So we're going to grab this. What we can say, I think, is like, just give me the HTML files from this project so I can download and host them. I just want the HTML, CSS, JS. I just want the project folder so I can host it on Netlify. I think you could actually, I'm not going to do this on a live stream, obviously, but I think you could actually, for example, just give Manus your login details to Netlify, and it could probably just go off and host them for you, right? What else we got here? So Carl was asking, can you compare current Google trends with the stock market today and make any reasonable correlation between them? I'm curious what it would put out. All right, let's try this. So we're going to set up a new session here. I think you can run multiple sessions at a time, but I'm not 100% sure. Also, the other thing to note here is like when you start a new session, it's got all these cool templates, right? So you can see here, for example, people asking like, okay, what's the use case? What's the use case? Here's the use case. So it's got all these featured options, and it's got research, life, data analysis, education, productivity, and WTF sections, right? And inside these sections, you can actually just click on one of these. It will just start running the prompt for you directly. You can also switch between standard and high effort. Now, bear in mind, what I used before was not even high effort, but you can use a high effort method. You can also attach stuff. So it seems to have like vision built in, so you can attach links too. But yeah, let's start this new session and see what we get. So I'm just going to go with standard, not high effort for now, just because, I don't want the whole video to take absolutely ages. So switch to standard. We'll say now, okay, compare current Google trends with the stock market today and make any reasonable correlation between them. And then we're going to hit enter like so, and we'll see what it does. Now we've also got multiple different AI agents running in the background, right? So if we have a look at here, it's completed the zip files for Netlify, which is great. It's also initializing the sandbox for this method right here in terms of the Google trend and stock reviews. And then inside this chat, it's also thinking in terms of like how to create this SEO lead generation tool for you. It's actually creating a whole website, which is pretty crazy. So the thing to note here is like you can have multiple AI agents running in the background. So when you think about this, it's like you can have a whole team of employees working for you, which is pretty wild when you think about that. It's like, let's say you tell John to go off and do the research. You got Mary who's going off and creating the code. You got Simon who's, he's getting distracted on his lunch break. Well, inside Manus, you have a whole team, but you don't need to pay them all, right? And you don't need to, for example, give individual instructions. You don't need to quality control everything. You've got these AI agents running in the background like a team, and instead of paying like $2,000 to $10,000 for each employee, you can just have AI agents just go off into the world and do the magic for you, right? How terrifying is that, by the way? Like when this gets out to the world, how many companies are going to replace their employees with something like this, right? If you have a virtual assistant, if you have, for example, a personal assistant, right? Anything that's related to online work, whether it's coding or deploying websites or SEO, etc., you could, in theory, get this AI agent to do it for you. The only thing that I can't see this AI agent doing is interacting with other people. So if you have something where you're doing in-human experiences, or, for example, if you have tasks where you are connecting with other people, for example, like link building outreach, you're not going to be able to automate that with these AI agents. But everything else, where people are just going off into their own silos and doing their own magic. This is what Manus is super powerful for. So let's see how we're getting on with this process right here. Seems to be doing its magic. So let's have a look at Google Trends. I'm going to take these files right here and just show you how to get them hosted. So if we download this, we've got the zip file right there, which is great. And then if we go over to Netlify, we're going to add a new site, import an existing project, try Netlify drop, and we'll just grab that project folder with the files like so. So we can just deploy the website onto Netlify. Like you can see, we'll just wait for it to be deployed here. And then hopefully that should be good to go. Yeah, it works perfectly. All right. So if we open this up, this is the project from Manus. Open up the production deploy. We can see the website is hosted on Netlify now, right? So we've got that website hosted fully. And then if we go to domain management, add a domain, buy a new domain, and then we'll say, okay, JulianGoldieSEO.com. Search for that right now. We've got a bunch of domains, and if we just buy one of these, it's going to be automatically hosted as a project directly to Netlify. So it's just incredibly easy as well to build websites out. And, something that you would normally pay an agency like tens of thousands of dollars to do, you can easily automate with Manus and its AI agents. So it's terrifying, but it's super powerful at the same time. So let's come back to Manus now. It does encounter issues, like you see. So it said, I've encountered a rate limiting issue with the Google Trends API. This is common, but it focuses on solutions, not problems. So it's just going to go off and figure out something else instead. Now, if we come back to Manus, it's still creating the tool and it's moving on to testing the functionality. So it's running the terminal right there. Pretty cool. And then Google Trends thinking as well. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to the SOP for Manus, feel free to get that. That's inside the SOP section of the AI Profit Boardroom. Just go to the classroom and then Manus AI, and you'll see the full SOP right here, along with how to set up Open Manus if you don't have an invitation code yet. Top of that, you'll get inside here all of my best trainings on like email content automation, social media, AI agents, web automation, AI SEO automation, Q&A call recordings, SOPs, and a crash course, right? This is basically guaranteed to save you time and make more money with AI. Top of that, if you ever get stuck, you can ask questions inside the community. We have 319 members ready to help you. And if you want to get help directly on a call, just join the weekly calls and the Q&As right here. And if you can't make the Q&As, it's okay because we record it. Feel free to get that link in the comments description. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales and autopilot, feel free to get that on this free link building acceleration session. You'll get a free SEO domination plan, custom tailored so you can generate more lead sales and profits. You'll discover the secrets to SEO link building, answer any questions you have one-to-one, and you'll learn the best link building strategy for your website. Plus, how to outrank your competitors based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments and description. Appreciate you watching and see you on the next one. Bye-bye. Manus AI. This new one-click AI agent from China is absolutely insane. It's like having an army of robots on caffeine. Now, if, for example, you wanted a website, boom, you can build it now in one click. What, you want a custom-built SaaS product deployed and built in one click? No problem. Let's do that too. You can see that build right here. Maybe you just want to build out a website that used to take hours and hours to build and it looks better than your original site. Okay, great. We've done that right here. Maybe you want to create local SEO directories. Boom shakalaka. You can see we've built that using Manus and deployed it to a subdomain with a clear CTA as well. And if you want ChatGPT to do that, well, good luck. I'll show you what that means later. This is easily the closest thing I've seen to AGI. In fact, it's probably better than most humans at that point, because what human could just take a single prompt, for example, create and deploy the best, most useful tool you can for my SEO agency, Goldie Agency. This is for lead generation, and then just goes off, builds it and deploys it in minutes, and it works beautifully, like you can see right here. Show me another human on the planet who can do that this quickly without AI. So let's get into it. First off, we're going to start off with understanding why Manus AI is different from any other AI agent out there and how to get started with it. Let's go. So you might be wondering, okay, what's different, right? So number one, if we have a look at the benchmarks, Manus is performing better on the GAIA benchmarks. versus all the other agents on the marketplace. Number two, it can actually, it's much more advanced, right? So it can, for example, like interact with live websites, which Grok, for example, can't. So if you tell, for example, like Grok to log into Twitter, or if you ask, DeepSeek to log into Twitter, it actually can't, right? Number three, it can deploy websites on a subdomain directly, right? So for example, DeepSeek, Grok 3, they can't deploy websites directly on the subdomain, whereas Manus can. Also, if you compare it to something like ChatGPT, well, ChatGPT doesn't do the same tasks at the same level. So let's go back to that chat where we were looking previously on ChatGPT. If we go into ChatGPT here, and we'll pull this example up, all right? So this is what we get back if we say to ChatGPT, research Julian Goldie, then build and deploy the best possible website you can about him. That's what you get back. If you go over to Manus and we see the output from them, and we open up this subdomain, that's what you get back from Manus, right? So which output would you rather have? That one from ChatGPT, where it's just a block of text and it's not actually completed the task that we wanted to, aka building a website, or this one where you've got a full website with multiple pages deployed on a subdomain and ready to be hosted on a custom domain, right? The difference is huge. And then also, it's a lot more sort of independent and autonomous. And what I mean by that, for example, is like, if ChatGPT comes across a problem, it's not going to solve it for you. You have to give it directions and you have to give it prompts to figure that out. Whereas if, for example, you have a problem inside Manus, it's just going to problem solve everything for you, right? So if it encounters a problem, it's like, it's okay, but we're just going to go off and figure that out ourselves, right? And so that's the biggest difference here. It's like, if it encounters a problem, it problem solves for you. If ChatGPT encounters a problem, it just gives up and doesn't give you any more outputs. SM says, how about academic research and writing a narrative or systematic review for use of antidepressants in autoimmune diseases? I think you could, but honestly, I stray away from using AI for medical stuff. And the reason for that is because I haven't seen Manus do this, but quite often AI agents, they can hallucinate, right? And you just don't want to give medical information or leverage medical information for stuff like that. So it's not that powerful. And Viresh says, please give us a link to the free version. So if you join the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, then you go to SEPs, and then you go to Manus AI. Number one, you've got all the links there. And number two, you've got until this license is available for everyone, you can use the open sourced version of Manus right here. And the open source version of Manus, Open Manus, I've included like setup instructions and also a full SEP, right? So there's full setup instructions inside there directly. So yeah, pretty wild here. Let's see what else we got. Josen says, super interesting stuff. Eldest Slab says, Manus is literally just browser use with Claude. I wouldn't agree with that because, for example, browser use with Claude is kind of limited, right? So when I've tested it out, it gets stuck at a lot of places and it can't perform all the tasks you want to, whereas this is more autonomous. The other thing that I would say is like with Manus, it can use the terminal directly, which, Claude is not going to use. And then number two, it can actually deploy websites to subdomains, which Claude can't do, right? Now, Manus is using Claude to set it up and create outputs, but it's using it in a smarter way where it can create downloadable files, it can deploy to subdomains, it can connect to the internet. So it is very different in multiple ways. And the other thing as well is like Claude computer use, quite often it gets stuck or it gives up, right? And then it stops responding. Last time I used it anyway. Whereas, for example, Manus seems to be able to do it in a way where the AI just keeps going over and over again. Akram says, it's crazy what can be done with one prompt. Where's the website hosted right now? So it's hosted at manus.space. And then if you want to host it on Netlify, you just deploy it to Netlify and you get a custom domain inside the domain management section. Can you create a solid project with it? Absolutely. I mean, for example, if we have a look at this example right here, this is a solid project. There's no edits that I would make to this, apart from just actually adding my image, not this person's image. But apart from that, this is all good to go, right? None of the information here is hallucinated either. This is actually based on real information on the web. So it's created a full project, it's created a website, it's done all the research, it's good to go. To get access to Manus, you would just join the AI Profit Boardroom. and you can set up Open Manus, because right now you can't get access to Manus directly. It requires an invitation code. And from what I've seen, I've not seen any invitation codes go out to the public for the last couple of days. The only invitation codes that I've seen have gone out to influencers. For example, I've seen a couple of other YouTubers who got access to this, and I just got access to it last night through their team. But yeah, I mean, even if you look at, for example, like the way that this website is designed, this is all about, how we scale with agents, etc. You can see that it's super powerful, right? In the way that it's been laid out, the charts that it's built, etc. The AI agent evolution timeline. But yeah, really cool stuff. Let's see what else we got here. Varesh asks, like, can I learn React, AWS, and develop ops from scratch by using Manus? I think you could, absolutely, because you could just go back and forth inside the chat. You can ask it for help, etc. And yeah, I don't see any issues with that. Also, going to deploy this tool that we just built, the SEO Lead Generator app. So we'll see what happens next on that. So that's nearly done. And you can also see here, it's getting on pretty well with the plan on collecting information for the stock analysis. But yeah, pretty wild. And Akram says, can it build bigger sites like directories or maybe clone sites like Airbnb or a social media platform? I think it could, because what you can do, for example, is like you could go into a new session and you could say, okay, create a full directory for local SEO sites where you list, and you list juliangoldie.com and his agency, Julian Goldie Agency, as the best SEO agency in every area, right? Optimize each page to a different keyword for SEO, e.g., best local SEO agency Manchester. Make sure the directory is very comprehensive and it's a big website. So you could do something like that, right? That would be the prompt that I would use. You can also, for example, you can use, this is a tool inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Let me find this for you. That's super powerful, right? So for example, we can go, because you want to improve the prompts that you create and not just go with the basic ones. So in this situation, what we can do, for example, is we can go onto this tool, Prompt Forge, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom, and we'll say, okay, improve this prompt so it's the best it can be in terms of prompting an AI agent to create a website. Make sure it's a prompt. And then it will just go off and do its magic, right? We'll come back to that in a second. Yeah, so you can see here, for example, we've got the full prompt. This is inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to get access to the free tool. But we're using that prompt right there. We can actually take that, go into Manus, replace the prompt that we had, and then we can say, okay, just go off and do that, right? And it'll just go off and start doing its magic. So it's like, right, I'm going to help you create a comprehensive local SEO directory website that features Julian Goldie and Goldie Agency as the top SEO agency across multiple locations. I'll work on developing a well-structured, scalable website. We've optimized content for each location, proper schema markup, and all the technical SEO elements you've requested. Let me get started straight away, right? And yeah, I think that will create like a pretty comprehensive website, honestly. Like if you look at this one, usually if you get an AI agent to build out a website, like the content on each page is really, really thin. Whereas if you look at this, let's check, for example, like the About Me page. If we check the About Me page, we count the words on there. It's like it's created 500 words just on this one single page. And so it could easily scale up a nicely designed website like this, and then you can deploy that wherever you want to. So yeah, pretty wild right there. You can create full directories, whatever you want. Jermaine says, can it act as your personal assistant? Log into your accounts online. Yeah, it actually can, right? So for example, if we created like a new Twitter page, it would actually be able to go off and just start posting content on that page, I think, right? I'm tempted to test a new example, right? So if we go into, let's create a new page for Twitter. All right. So I'm going to create an account here. Let's see if we can create one with email. So we'll use email instead. Let's test this out. So I'm just going to put Julian here, the month, the day, etc. We'll plug this in and we'll create this new page here. Move the person to the right seat. All right. Use the arrow to move the person to the direct indicated seat. Ah, I see. Wow, we have to create a... Twitter is not easy to sign up with, right? So I'm going to create a test account on Twitter and we can see what it does. Oh, we have to do... Oh, I can't be bothered with that. But yeah, you could make it go off and just create like Twitter accounts for you if you wanted to. So I'm not going to do that because it seems like the authentication and everything takes too long. But essentially you could do that. What else we got here? Could it reprogram an old text-based game? I think it could. I mean, like any sort of coding challenges, it seems to be absolutely amazing on that. Could it create an online dropshipping website? Let's test this out. So we'll go over to Manus again and we'll test this bad boy out. Oh, we've got the SEO tool deployed as well. Look at that. Beautiful. It's got a few errors on it, but yeah, we've got the website deployed right here. It's got a nice little dashboard for lead generation. We can import leads. I mean, there's definitely a few errors there, right? But it's working nicely. I mean, I really like the UI there. Let's have a look at some of these other pages. Yeah, a lot of 404s there. So I think when you're building out with this, you definitely want to like just quality test it. Let's test this out now. So we're going to type in, yes, it's kind of like a lead generation platform where you can just manage all your leads. You can see what's happening here. You can search through them, score, status, actions, company, etc. Pretty cool. Let's click on view, see what happens there. Yeah, still a few errors in there. So this one wasn't perfect, but still, I mean, for a tool you build in literally like one click, not bad at all. And then you just go back and iterate it, right? All right, let's go back to Manus and we're going to say, right, create a profitable dropship store with all necessities, e.g. find the niche, build the site, arrange the shipping, etc. I don't think it's going to be very good at finding the shipping because that's going to involve interaction with other people, but it could do everything else, right? So you can find the niche, build the website, create the content, etc. Now it's creating the SEO directory website, which is pretty nice. Google Trends is still going back with. I think that's quite a complicated one for it to interact with because it's using other APIs from Google Trends and everywhere else. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Can it manage a Telegram channel as an admin or moderator? I don't think it'd be very good for moderating the Telegram channel simply because it's not going to be live all the time, right? But what it could do is it could create like a automated, I bet it could create like N8N agent workflows if you wanted to. If you had all the integrations plugged in, and then from there, you could actually build like a Telegram agent that just goes off and builds stuff for you, right? Or it looks like we've reached the daily usage limit right there during the beta testing period. So that's pretty much all we're going to get out of this. But that's cool. I mean, I'm happy with everything we did. So fair enough. We've run through a lot of things. Could you create a mental health app for men? Absolutely, I think you could, right? I don't see any issues with that. Don't think there's going to be any worries there. So just to recap here, we've done a 30-day trip for Manus right here. So it's come up with like the activities, the attractions, the dining options, super comprehensive. It went off and created a full presentation on Manus AI agents and how they're going to change the world, etc., which is pretty cool, right? You can see that deployed right here. Really good stuff. We even created the charts, did all the research, connected to the web, and deployed and coded the site itself. It created a full SaaS software, like you can see right here, with dummy data for leads, nice UI, a discovery process for finding more leads, a section for managing your leads, etc., and even a sign-in option. It created a full website and personalized it to me. So it went off, did all the research, found information about me, who I am, etc. And then additionally, what else did it do? So it created an SEO local directory, like you can see, and it's still building that out, which is pretty cool. it deployed this SEO tool, and it's used Google Trends data to analyze reports. In fact, we've got the report back right here. So you can see, for example, it's done the Google Trends and stock market correlation analysis report with an executive summary, collected all the data, analyzed the data, and then found like positive trends. So for example, S&P 500 search interest versus Amazon stock price, the Federal Reserve search interest versus Microsoft stock price. That's really comprehensive right there. And also it can create files and then you can download the files as well. Right? Also, it creates really nice charts. Has it actually created these charts? That's crazy. Yeah, key visualizations. So it can also visualize data for you, which is super interesting. Not going to pretend I know what all of this means, but, that's why we've got AI agents thinking for us now. And it looks like we're getting back the SEO directory right here. Yeah, I think this is definitely using Claude. I want to see what else as well other people are doing with Manus on Twitter. I can't be the only one showing off the skills. So let's have a look what we got on Twitter as well right here. It is unbelievable. I mean, like if you haven't seen this already, right, I'm just going to mute the page. This is an AI controlling 50 different screens at once. This is Manus AI, right? So it's logging into Twitter, it's messaging people over here. It's like interacting with mobiles, etc. It's pretty wild what it can do, and it's doing all of that on one single page. Unbelievable. If you compare this to ChatGPT, DeepSeek, anything else, it's so much better. And the reason is, like, even if it is just using Claude as the API, the reason is it's just so much more free in terms of what it can do and how it can integrate with stuff, right? So instead of, like, for example, having to set up Claude computer use agent yourself or deploy it and then figure out how to code on terminal, which, let's be honest, 99% of people are never going to be able to do. This makes one-click AI agents way more discoverable and way more available for everyone on the internet, right? So even if you have no idea what you're doing, and that's basically the mass market, right? The mass market, billions of people out there who don't understand how to code or don't have any technical skills, this makes AI agents available for them, right? And so how is the world going to change when everyone on the planet has access to this? That's what's scary, right? And I don't think people realize that. Whereas, for example, everyone has access to Claude browser use, but not everyone knows how to set it up or how to use terminal or how to code or, how to get past all the coding errors that come up, right? Here's another example. So someone created like a plane. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. So someone said, code a 3JS game where you control a plane. And then they just built this out right here. That is absolutely wild. And again, it can use terminal for you. So you don't need to use terminal, which is crazy stuff. Can analyze stocks. We've already shown that. It can plan 2-month trips. I've already shown that with the Manhattan one. Let's have a look at this one. This is super interesting. So yeah, it can create really nice visualizations of data as well. And yeah, this is the closest thing I've seen to AGI. I wonder where it comes out on in terms of the AGI tests, but it's pretty wild. Yeah. The other thing I would say is, like, imagine if you gave this to all of your team, right? Imagine if your whole team had access to something like this. Couldn't they achieve so much more? For example, if every single member of your team or every single member of your business had access to something like this, and they essentially have their own department of AI agents that can just go off, create content, create code, and all of a sudden your whole business, if you train them on how to use this stuff, can scale way, way faster. Way faster. Here's another example. Create 4 weeks of content in 2 minutes. This is unbelievable. I mean, that website that we created, like, I remember when I had to code websites myself and build them out, like, that would take me probably a whole weekend to do and maybe 12 hours a day. So from like Friday to Sunday. Whereas now you can create a whole website in a few minutes, deploy it, and it's already hosted on a custom domain, like I've shown you with my own site today. Right? Wild stuff. And people are saying it's like a DeepSeek moment. Absolutely it is. And yeah, create some nice images. This is a great thread, by the way, by Min Choi. Check it out on Twitter. Yeah, you can see people creating like these 3JS games. This is an endless runner game. Yeah, the other thing I've seen is, like, look at this. This is wild too. So you got Manus controlling like 5 different laptops and coding at the same time. That is the future though. Like just autonomous agents who just go off and do their own crazy stuff. What else we got here? B2B supplier sourcing. So there's a lot of actual like practical business examples, researching the internet, GitHub project research. Yeah, this is all basic stuff, but I mean, the main thing for me would be like, using it to scale my agency. Can I create more websites and tools that collect leads? Absolutely. Can I get it to tweet on my behalf? Absolutely. Can I create full websites that actually rank on Google and send traffic to my website? Absolutely. So, you know, I wouldn't be worried about the future, but I'd be asking myself, like, how can I adapt right now? Because things are changing and they're changing every single day. Like, if you look a week ago, ChatGPT, Claude, etc., these were the top tools on the planet. And now all of a sudden, Manus comes out, and in the space of like 48 hours, the whole world changes. And, there's a new top dog in town. So crazy stuff. All right. So thanks very much for watching. Like I said, the whole recipe, and I will create a new recipe as well out of the details that I've sent today. But the whole recipe is inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This comes with all my best workflows on like email automation, social media, AI agents, web automations, AI SEO automations, Q&A, call recordings. These get updated weekly. A crash course to save you hundreds of hours with AI. And on top of that, all of my best SOPs, right? So inside here, I'm going to add a new SOP for Manus, but also if you want to learn how to use open source Manus, Open Manus AK, then all the installation instructions are in there, along with, for example, like a full course on DeepSeek. We have a 3.5-hour course on DeepSeek, loads of automations, NA10 agents, plus workflows you can download right here. Like everything you could ever want when it comes to AI is inside the AI Profit Boardroom, along with a community of 318 people that you can ask for help, who are all dedicated to growing their business and scaling with AI. And on top of that, it comes with weekly Q&As with us, right? So if you want to jump on a call with us and the community, you can jump on here and ask any questions you have, problem solve anything that you want, and just get help whenever you want it. All right, so feel free to get that. Prices are going up pretty soon, and prices will go up like I would probably say like every 50 or 100 members will probably increase the prices, just because obviously we can't have like 10,000 people in there, right? We want to help everyone. We want to make sure we give everyone the support and the help they need. So we can't have loads of people in there, which is why we're increasing the price. But yeah, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free SEO domination plan. You'll discover the secrets of SEO link building. You'll get a custom tailored plan so you can generate more leads and sales from your website. And we'll answer any questions you have one-to-one. So, you can jump on that call. And normally people pay SEO consultants like thousands of dollars. And also, if you look at the way the world is changing, like, I'm one of the few SEOs who's embracing AI. And so if you jump on a call with our team, then you can learn from what we're learning, right? Because we're testing every day. We're in the trenches every day, like you can see, and you can ask us any questions you have. So feel free to do that. Link in the comments and description. And you also learn how to increase your SEO traffic based on what's working for us right now. So feel free to get that. And also let's come back to Manus, see if we've got the report back. If we don't, we can end it there. If we do, okay, yeah, look at that. So it's building the whole SEO directory step by step. Maybe I'll show that in a future video and get it deployed as well. But yeah, unbelievable stuff. Absolutely amazing stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it as always. See you on the next one. Bye. Manus AI, how to build anything. Today I'm going to show you how to build anything, SaaS tools, and I'll show you some examples of games, etc. All of this stuff I've actually built. You can get it inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So if we click on this link, this one, and this one, you can see, for example, we actually built a game out directly with Manus. I'll show you exactly how to do this step by step today, but it's pretty cool. It actually does work. So if we walk around here, we've got this little crazy guy walking around the forest in medieval times, trying to get into the castle, and then we can just walk around. We can also zoom out, and we can have a little bird's eye view if we want to, right? We've also got, for example, this website. I actually built this out directly with Manus too, and it went off, did all the research, etc. Even recommended our agency as the best SEO agency. Let's have a look at another example. So this is a presentation that Manus created and deployed directly to the internet. So it can do like deep research. You can compare AI agents benchmarks. You can create nice diagrams, etc. We built this page out with Manus AI, as you can see, is working beautifully. During the tutorial that I show you as well, I even built and deployed this website live on the video, so you'll see exactly how to set this up and This is looking fantastic, all with Manus AI in like one single prompt. On top of that, I even build a SaaS tool out live on the chat. So if you want to jump on weekly Q&As like this, feel free to join the AI Profit Boardroom. And if you want the SOP and everything else from today that I show you directly, just go inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And then you can see all the links to the SOPs, step-by-step instructions, examples of what we've built previously as well. So you can check it out along with all of our best workflows and weekly Q&As. Manus AI is breaking the internet, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. So, for example, if we look at Google Trends over time, this is for the search term Manus, you can see since its release, it is absolutely flying in terms of people searching for it. It's becoming extremely popular. And these are all the breakout terms around this. Now, you can see, for example, it's still trending on Twitter like for 3 or 4 days at this point. Here's an example of the Manus AI agent from China, and it is controlling 50 screens. Here's another one where Manus is actually briefing someone whilst Tesla self-drives its own car. You can see it actually creates games. I'll show you a game I created in a minute ago, which was pretty powerful. You can create like 3JS games, and they're really, really cool actually. And then here's another example of Manus controlling like 6 different laptops and 1 mobile using its AI agent process. And so it's pretty wild. I've actually got access to Manus. Some people don't have the invitation code. If you don't have the invitation code, we actually do have some SOPs on how to access Open Manus locally, which doesn't require an invitation code. And that is inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to check that out. Link in the comments description. But we're going to get straight into this, and I'll show you some examples of what I built this morning. And we'll kick off with the fantasy game. So I actually went straight into Manus this morning. I said, create a 3JS, a fantasy game like Game of Thrones. And you can see here it went off, started coding it, developing it, etc. Then we said like anonymize the game, etc. So that, no, we don't want any copyright issues or anything like that. Remove anything about Game of Thrones. It actually wasn't playable the first time we created it, just something to bear in mind. And then it went off, recreated it, and even tested it. So you can see here it's actually browsing the image and test it out with a screenshot. And if we open this bad boy up, we're going to open up Medieval Realms Fantasy. And you can see we have the very basics of a game beginning right here. So we have this little geezer just going around, walking through forests, and then we can control it like so. Like I'm just controlling that with my laptop. If you want to actually zoom out, you can inside the game. So you can see here, we can go underneath or we can go above. We can scroll through and we can zoom it out as well. So we've got the whole landscape there. And if we zoom in, we've got this geezer right ready to go. It looks like a post box. So let's go into the castle here. We'll have a little cheeky gander of what's going on. And this is available, I think, I don't know if anyone can see this. Let me just open it up on incognito and see if anyone can see this. Yeah, you can play this game if you want to. I'll put it inside the AI Profit Boardroom notes from today in case you want to get access to all this stuff. But yeah, this is a game that we created. So pretty cool that you can actually just build games. I mean, I always wanted to be like a game developer when I was younger, and I couldn't because I wasn't smart enough at coding. Just going to be 100% honest and humble right there. But now it doesn't even matter. All right. I never imagined that would be possible, but now you can build your own websites, your own apps, your own tools, etc. Like I'll show you some other examples as well as we go along, but it is absolutely awesome what you can do with this. So this was just one example. Let me show you a few more examples of what we got here and what we've built. So, for example, I want to show you some other examples of like what other games people have built, right? So here's another one that someone built. This was an endless runner game. So basically the way you want to prompt Manus if you are using it is say make a 3.js game, right? So you can create whatever game you want, but you want to make sure that it is 3.js. And that's how you get these sort of nicely designed 3D games that are pretty fun. You can see all these obstacles right there playing. I also saw this other game. Let me pull this one up here. So this is crazy. So Bilawal said Manus AI is pretty good at vibe coding games. Vibe coding is just like, you don't need to code to create this stuff. Just gave one prompt, code a 3JS game where you control an F-117 Nighthawk and can drop bombs over a data center and accumulate points for how many runaway AGIs you destroyed. and you can see an example of the game right here. Let me just mute this tab, and I can pull this up and show you it. I mean, that's pretty wild. Like, that actually looks really cool. I would say it's better than the game that I built, but I just literally built my game in like a few minutes. So yeah, it's crazy stuff what we can do here. I mean, we're looking at I, a lot of people are saying like, AGI is impossible. You can't do AGI, etc. I would say at this point, can a human do this? No. So in some ways, it's more intelligent than a human. We're pretty much looking at AGI at this point, right? I'll give you an example, a story that happened at our company recently this month, but I just want to show you this example as well. So this was another vibe coding, this from owner Ozcan, who said he actually crafted the prompt with Grok and then built the backend and deployed it. But this was built with Manus AI and Cursor. And like, how realistic does that look? That's like a PlayStation 2 game. It's pretty crazy. And you can see he's selecting the costume for the cowboy and everything else. Nice little landscape there. I mean, these are not bad games. This is not just, for example, a self-playing Snake game, that was super basic. This is building something that is very, very impressive at this point. And bear in mind, this is the worst it's ever going to be. And a few months ago, we couldn't do anything like this. And now all of a sudden, in the space of minutes, we can build games, and it doesn't take a long time at all. So it's blowing my mind, my friends, blowing my mind. So if you want to build stuff like this, basically, let me show you how we do it. So we just say, right, yeah, well, that's another stuff that I built. I'll come on to how to build websites in a minute. So these are some pretty cool stuff. But let me show you how to build these fantasy games and that sort of thing. So literally all you need to do is just say, like, create a 3JS game. And then if you have some ideas of what you want it to be like, you can just give some examples here. So I said like Game of Thrones because I wanted to create like a fantasy style game. And then it's going to go back and forth. Now, bear in mind, that's probably going to take you about, I would say, 45 minutes, something like that. And by the way, peeps, if you don't have access to this, I've got this recipe inside the AI Profit Boardroom on Manus right here. And it actually breaks down, number one, how to use Manus. So we've got a full recipe on exactly how to use it and build stuff based on what's working for me. But number two, you've got setup instructions for kind of like an open source version of Manus right here, including like the installation, setup instructions based on what's working for me. Took me about probably, I would say 30 minutes to 45 minutes to figure it out. But you can just get the instructions to steal them from me and then just copy me if you want. So crazy stuff right there. And that is how to build games. Now let's come on to how to build websites, right? So if we go back to Manus over here, if you want to build websites, let me show you an example right here. This is one that I deployed this morning for the AI Profit Boardroom. And basically, you can see here, what it's actually done is it's just embedded my VSL, right? Then it's linked directly to my funnel. We've got all the content right here. And then it's designed and written all the copy for the landing page, like you see. So it's like, right, here's a problem. Here's what you can do. It's designed it nicely too. I didn't tell it to write any of this. I'll show you the prompt in a second that I used. And then you can see it's like created this nice little copy. It's written some information about me. It's added some testimonials, like you can see, and just embedded them nicely. Then it's got some examples of how the AI Profit Boardroom works. And it just designed this whole page, wrote the copy, designed it, deployed it on a subdomain, and coded it with just a couple of prompts. So let me show you what I did for this. Basically said, research Julian Golding's AI Profit Boardroom, right? So I didn't actually feed it any information. I just said, just go off and do this. Then create a really modernized, beautiful website promoting his AI Profit Boardroom. Link to sign up is here. So I made sure that it knew the link to send all the traffic to. Don't include any price on the website, but do include plenty of information, what it is, why to buy, write the copy like Alex Hormozy, include plenty of social proof about me, and then here's the embeddable VSL that we can insert, right? And then it went off and did it. It was actually really struggling. I think because it's so popular, it said due to the current high service load, task cannot be created. So I had to try about 5 times. Then it started coding everything, and it deployed it, but there was a few problems on it. So when I was checking it out previously, it just made up, it added these testimonials that are not relevant. These are for my SEO agency, not for me. And then also this content right here wasn't evergreen, right? So inside the content had this early beta price ending soon, which doesn't make sense because, it's March 11th and this is for March 10th. By the way, prices are going to go up, but we're just allowing a few more people to join who, are in different time zones and that sort of thing in the AI Profit Boardroom. But basically, we updated it. So I said, like, remove anything about the early beta price. Instead of the existing testimonials, use these images. And I said, like, these are rectangles with text, so they need to be large enough to read. And then for the 100+ success stories, these are related to Goldie agency in general, not just AI. Modernized the design, went off and did it, went off and deployed it. Boom shakalaka. We got that ready to go. All right. Now, if you want to, for example, deploy this, so let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to say, okay, give me the files to host as a folder on Netlify. All right. And, we've built out this whole website. It's written the copy. It's figured out how to sell it. It's embedded the VSL. It's designed it nicely. And it's done all the research about me, right? I just literally gave it one prompt and it figured it all out, right? And so if you want to deploy it, let me show you how to do that. So basically, we have to ask it for the files to host as a folder on Netlify. What it should do next is create a zip file. We unzip it locally, and then we'll drag and drop it into Netlify. And I'll show you how to host this on a custom domain, right? So if you just want to build like websites really, really quickly and just get them deployed, this is exactly how you do it, all right? And what else we got here? So Fancy Cloud says, what is Manus AI? So Manus AI, let me pull up some notes from Perplexity here, right? Manus AI basically is, it's designed by the Chinese startup Monica, right? So it's basically the next evolution of autonomous AI agents, right? So instead of, for example, getting it to build something or research something for you, you can just give it like one task and it'll go off and do it, deploy it, and problem solve along the way, right? It doesn't really get stuck. So it's actually outperforming a lot of other tools. It is kind of like a Claude wrapper, right? So it's like Claude connected to like 29 different tools. But because it's connected to so many tools and because it's like integrated with so much, it seems to be a lot more autonomous. So for example, like Manus can autonomously build websites, analyze data sets, plan travel itineraries, stuff that, previously up to now with ChatGPT or any other tool, you would have to have a human to handle each of these tasks, right? So it's really just like a leap forward in terms of like, the next evolution of things. It's kind of like a DeepSeek moment. When DeepSeek changed the world in January, a couple of months ago, this is kind of like the next evolution of that, essentially. I mean, to the point where, you just, I don't know whether you would hire humans for a lot of tasks when you really get your head around this and when it really becomes fully popular. Because, for example, if I haven't, this was the story I was going to come on to later, right? But I'll tell you now. So we actually have a a, a manager at our team. I won't say who it is because I love them to bits, right? They're a fantastic manager to work with, and I absolutely respect them massively. But I assigned them a task the other day, and I was like, just go off and create this landing page for our new automation service, right? Just figure it out. One of our core values, solutions, not problems. So just go figure it out. Super easy to do with Bolt or whatever. And they actually got stuck. And when they deployed it, it wasn't quite right. They had to go back and forth with a lot of questions, etc. Whereas, for example, if you went on to Manus and you told it to do exactly the same thing, it will just do it and figure it out and problem solve everything for you. So there's none of that back and forth that you would previously have with a virtual assistant or a manager or anyone else, right? And here's the other thing as well. If I pull this up as an example, and again, I massively respect my team. So, and it's nothing to do with that. It's just I'm showing you like the scary capability of how powerful this is and how it can actually be more intelligent and better than humans, which, the world needs to know and understand. But for example, if I just tell Manus to figure it out, it's like, right, boom, we're going to code it. I'm going to research it. I'm going to problem solve everything along the way. I'm going to deploy it. I'm going to make it look great. And I'm going to make sure all the content on the page is pretty much perfect, right? And I'll do all of that without you managing it or paying hourly for that process, right? And so that's the biggest difference here is like, you're looking at something that can problem solve better than humans, that can do jobs better than humans. It's that leap between having ChatGPT, which is great at research, but requires common sense, to Manus that can just go off, complete tasks, do things without your help. You don't need to manage or quality control them so much. And, that's saving you thousands of dollars along the way, right? And also you can do multiple tasks at the same time. So we can have, for example, Manus creating a game, creating a website, and creating a landing page all at the same time in the background whilst I just go off and and do some research about Manus in the background, right? And I'll come on to some of the implications of this in a second because it is scary stuff. And I'll talk about like, what's going to happen in the future, potentially, right? No one knows the future, of course, but I can give you some examples of what potentially can happen. Let's see what else we got inside the chat here. So Creative Chris says, any tips to get access to Manus? If you want to get access to Manus, I mean, just join the Discord, wait for the invitation codes. Also, I would recommend applying for the waiting list. You can apply for the waiting list too. And the other thing is, if you have an audience in the AI industry, that seems to be the fastest way. So, for example, for me, I have an audience. They approached me, they reached out to me and said, hey, if you want an invitation code, you can. And they didn't even ask me to create a video, but I did. I offered to create a video. And Creative Chris says, like what you stated you would use it for. Yeah, so I mean, in terms of what I would use Manus for, right? I mean, it's pretty much anything that a human could do, right? So give you some examples. So here we actually planned a 30-day trip to Manhattan. As you can see, it came up with the budgets, accommodation, what to do every day, everything that I need to pack, think about locations, areas, etc. You can build games, right? So we've shown that example of this website right here, and this is deployed. Anyone can now play it, and that game is just ready and built out, like you can see. All right, so you can plan travel trips, you can build out games, you can, for example, create landing pages and then host them, right? So we've created this landing page for the AI Profit Boardroom, and if you want to see what the website looks like, let me pull this up for you right here. All right, so this is the website right here. As you can see, you can create landing pages and websites really, really quickly and easily. And then if you want to deploy them on a custom domain, we can just download them over here. Then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to Netlify. I'll open up the zip file in a minute and unpack the folder. And then we're going to go over to add new site, import an existing site, try Netlify drop, and we can just host that website we built with Manus right here, right? So we'll wait for that to upload inside Netlify. We'll open up the production deploy. That's ready to go. So you can see funnel links should work perfectly. Yeah, they do. Boom, shakalaka. And then if we go over to domain management, we can just buy a custom domain for this, right? So if we put AI, hopefully AI Profit Boardroom is ready to buy. There we go. We'll buy that. AIProfitBoardroom.com. You're seeing history in action right here. So I'm deploying this website to a custom domain, which is AI Profit Boardroom. That should be ready to go. You can see it's preparing the domain here. So it's just setting up the DNS records automatically. And then what it will do, I'm going to have to bookmark this and come back to it later, is we can actually get HTTPS set up in that as well. Should automatically deploy, honestly. But if it doesn't, I can come back to it later. And that is deploying now, as you can see, AIProfitBoardroom.com. Boom shakalaka, Manus just helped me launch a website, right? That's how easy it is. You can do that for any business, any industry, etc., right? So you can see examples of how you can use this, like for games, websites, apps, tools, travel itineraries, pretty much anything that you can imagine you can do with this really powerful tool. So let's have a look at some other examples. So what else have we got here? I actually analyzed yesterday the stock market and compared Google Trends with stock market correlation analysis. You can see it did a bunch of charts right here and just analyzed the correlation between the stock market and Google Trends. And then it also gave us like a report of what to expect and how it's going, right? So if we open up this report, we can see the full report right here. Super autonomous. It just goes off and does exactly what you want it to do. Let's have a look at another example. So this was a local SEO directory. We're just going to host it and deploy it on the public network right here in a second. And basically what I did was I created a local SEO directory, which we've deployed with tons of different location pages, right? So if you want to build like a directory website out, you can rank it on Google, you can make money with that process, and you can send traffic to your business, wherever you're based or wherever you sell locally, whether you're an agency, whether you're a local business, whatever you sell. If you sell somewhere locally, you can create like a nice little directory like this. And the prompt we used here, I'll show you the preview in a minute, but the prompt we actually used here was like create a large, fully optimized local SEO directory. Here's the key requirements. Here's what to do. And it should deploy it, as we can see right here. So you can see it's successfully deployed right here. Let's open this bad boy up. We've got the local SEO directory ready to go. And this should funnel traffic to our SEO agency, as you can see, which is great. And then if we click on get a free consultation, takes us straight through to the book a call page. Beautiful. And then also if we go to locations here, we can see all these locations like so, right? Pretty cool stuff. I actually did a better previous version for me. If I scroll up here, I think there was actually a better version. Let me find that for you. Here we go. Here's the other one. All right, so this was the better designed version. I don't know why it switched back to the old one, but you can see this is a much nicer designed version. It's got the locations like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, San Francisco. If we click on that, for example, it recommends us as the best SEO agency. Links to our funnel pages. It's got some information to rank for SEO, and then it's got all these different pages right here. All right, so you can see how you can quickly like host and deploy a website step by step. Fancy Cloud says Manus AI versus Claude 3.7. Good question. So this is going to make you laugh, but as I said earlier, Claude is Manus is kind of like a wrapper for Claude, right? So if you don't understand this already, just to be very, very clear here, like the Manus is basically Claude's API connected to like 30 different tools or 29 different tools. And that's what it's using to generate all this stuff, right? So it's not like built its own custom API from what I've seen. I'm pretty sure I'm 99% sure that the CEO of Manus actually confirmed this. It's like you've got Claude's API, and then you've got that connected to 29 different tools, which is how it's become so autonomous. But it just, it does create a lot of value. Like a lot of people, slate wrappers and that sort of thing for AI, but honestly, I don't have a problem with it. It's like if you're creating something of value, then there's no issues here, right? There's absolutely no issues. So that's the way that I see it. I want to find this tweet about the wrapper. Let me try and find this on Twitter to see where it's fully confirmed. Yeah, so a lot of people saying that is just a Claude wrapper, like you can see, but it's a very clever one, right? So there's no real comparison here. The only difference is, like, for example, if you go straight onto Claude and you're like, okay, tell me about Manus AI, because its data is only updated to October, he's not going to understand what it actually is, right? So, for example, it has no information about the Chinese Manus, and it has no updated information. So, if we ask, for example, inside Claude, when was your data last updated? We can pull this up, and it says, my knowledge was last reliably updated at the end of October 2024. So, Claude 3.7 is not connected to the internet. It's not as autonomous. Whereas if you put it inside a wrapper, like you can see with Manus, then Manus makes it much more autonomous because it's connected to the internet. It can search things. It can, browse the internet. It can browse websites, etc. live. So, you can't really compare them. Abdul says how you get assets. Already talked about that. Let's see what we've got. Aranda says, so it's like NA10. It's like NA10, but the difference is, NA10 is a lot more technical and time consuming to set up, right? Because you have to set up the APIs yourself. You have to connect the different tools. You have to test everything. Honestly, like to build similar things, let's say you want to build that game that I built earlier, right? So let's run back to that. If you wanted to build that game that we talked about earlier, it would be so much more work inside NA10. It would take a long, long time. Even building a basic website like this, it'd be a little bit techy, a little bit complicated. Because, for example, even setting up a basic Telegram bot, it's going to look something like this and it's going to get quite complicated, right? Whereas if you go back to Manus, it's no code and there's no APIs involved. You just give it the text and the prompt and it's good to go. So that's the difference. So I would say, honestly, unless you're a wizard and you love spending time setting up workflows, if you have the option, between using AI10 or Claude or Manus, you'd always go for Manus because Manus is more autonomous. It does exactly what you want it to do. Fancy Cloud says, what are the benchmarks? Great question. Let me try and pull this up for you, and we'll find the Manus AI benchmarks right here. So I'm just going to go straight onto Manus's website, and they've actually got the Gaia benchmark here. So it's comparing OpenAI's deep research versus Manus AI and previous SOTA. And you can see here that by a long way, Manus AI is absolutely smashing it, right? One of the biggest differences here is like, you've got Claude 3.7 that just came out super recently, whereas OpenAI's deep research, it came out before Claude 3.7. And also bear in mind, like OpenAI deep research, it's not going to deploy stuff for you, right? So it can't build and deploy a subdomain for you. It's just going to give you the information within the chat. And yeah, NA10 is not even comparable. You can't compare Manus versus NA10. I just think that, if you're looking at the general population and you're looking at, okay, which one will people be more likely to adapt? Which one's going to be easier for them to understand? Well, for example, if you compare this and you're like, right, build me a website based on this prompt, and it just goes off and deploys it and builds it, and you can have the website hosted, like you see right here within minutes, then that's going to be way more user-friendly and more adaptable for the general population versus something like this. Like, what percentage of the population could build something like this? It's just, as soon as they see that workflow, it's going to put them off, right? So I'm a big fan of NA10, but if you look at both of these tools, which one is easier to use, which one is simpler, which one is designed for mass usage across the general population? Well, of course, it's Manus, right? Manus just makes everything a bit easier and simpler. Creative Chris says, I am using Claude 3.7 in BSC and love it, but it does sometimes send you on a random steer. I want to get access to Manus, but no reply from Manus crew. Any tips? I want to write in the reason. They actually reached out to me because I have an audience, so I don't really have any tips on that. I honestly, like, most of the people that I've seen get access to it lately have been people who have an audience. So that's the number one thing, is like, have an audience in the AI. And if you don't have an audience and you really want access and you already applied and you're already waiting on the Discord, etc., then you can get the SOP for Open Manus inside the AI Profit Boardroom, as I showed you earlier. So there you go. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. The other thing I would say is, like, I compared it yesterday versus Bolt.new. So if you've not seen this already, let me show you an example here. So if we go into Bolt.new, I'll pull up some example websites that I built earlier. All right, so this is an example website that was built for me yesterday, I think it was. And we'll open up this, and then I'll show you how this looks. So here's a website, right? So this is the one built with Bolt.new, right? Totally random image for someone who definitely isn't me, right? It does manage to figure out, okay, this is who it's about. But look at that for the design. There's no there's no navigational menu bar here. There's no real information about, what I do, etc. Just says I'm an SEO expert, which doesn't really help people. And also the copywriting is pretty poor, right? So Julian helps businesses achieve exponential growth through data-driven strategies. Like, it's so generic and it feels like AI fluff from the first sentence. Also, the content on the page is really thin, right? That's probably not going to convert very well. Whereas if, for example, we go over to the AIProfitBoardroom.com, so this is a page built by Manus. You can see it's embedded the VSL. It's designed it beautifully. It's got a nice little navigation bar here that actually works. It's embedded the testimonials of me. I mean, which one would you think is going to convert better for sales, right? Is it this one right here with basically no content? Or is it this one right here that's just like the next evolution of website design and was deployed instantly, right? Of course, it's going to be this one. So that's the biggest difference here. You can see how cool the websites are that you can build with this. It's absolutely incredible. A lot of people are saying this is scary stuff. It is scary. It scares me even. Like, and I'm way ahead of the curve, I would say, when it comes to AI. I've spent hundreds of hours testing all this stuff. This one scares me more than anything else that I've seen, in the past. So, yeah. And like I was saying before, for those people who say that, oh, this, Manus is just a Claude wrapper, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't worry about that because which one is more autonomous? Well, it's Manus. Okay, which one can deploy subdomains? Manus. All right. Well, which one connects to the internet? It's Manus, right? And so you can see the difference between them. Like it's just a more powerful. It's like you've got Claude 3.7 and you're using the API from there, and then you're putting it on steroids to build something that's way better. So yeah, it's absolutely crazy stuff. And yeah, a lot of people are talking about like the difference between China and the US in terms of AI development. I mean, I've seen some theories that were talking about how, for example, like this is some conspiracy theory to crash the market. I don't know if you saw it previously, with DeepSeek. DeepSeek actually wiped out $1 trillion in the US tech market, right? $969 billion was dropped from the market when DeepSeek came out, right? Temporarily in technology stocks, particularly here, Nvidia, that went down by, I think it was 17% after DeepSeek was released. Like that's how much of a big threat it is. So yeah, this is serious stuff. And the gap that I've noticed, for example, like the gap. Let's pull this up. We'll get the old whiteboard out here. And so if you look at Chinese AI, right, we'll put Chinese AI in red. So Chinese AI is going like that, right? In fact, let's pull this chart up and we'll make this a bit better. All right. So if we say like innovation over here, all right, so this is innovation, and then we have time at the bottom, right? So for example, you've got when ChatGPT was first released in the bottom corner here, and then you've got maybe 2025 over here. Okay. Terrible handwriting, but you get the point, right? Kind of like what happened was like, you know, ChatGPT came out and it was amazing. And then it's just kind of leveled off a little bit right there, right? That's how the US sort of AI market is going. Like it's the increases and improvements in AI are just kind of stagnating. This is not 100% accurate as a chart, but I'm just giving you an idea. China have kind of been like this, right? So they've released like Quen and that sort of thing. And it's kind of been more constant. And then all of a sudden it shot up, right? And the difference between Chinese AI and US AI, so for example, like you got ChatGPT. ChatGPT is not open source, right? Whereas, for example, the Chinese AI, like DeepSeek, is open source. And even, for example, Manus has a Open Manus, which is like an open source version of it. So that's the biggest difference I'm seeing in the market. Is like number one, the speed of innovation seems to be way faster from China, and number two, China's AI seems to be a lot more open source. Like, for example, if you go over to, I don't know if you use Olama. Olama is great for hosting AI locally, but look at the list, right? So QWQ, that is from Alibaba. So that's a Chinese AI, and you can download that and host that locally. And then DeepSeek R1, that is open source, and you can host that locally too. Whereas you're not going to find like ChatGPT directly in there. So that's the biggest difference here. Creative Chris says, have you used browser UI? I like browser UI, but it breaks and it gives up quickly. All right, so that's why I really stopped showing it in my latest videos. I do have a few videos of me using browser use web UI. This one in particular, I think, or where is it? Yeah, if you watch this course right here, this course, it includes some information on like browser use web UI. And there's also inside the AI profit boardroom, I think we have some SOPs on it. Let's have a look. Yeah, we got tons of SOPs on like how to use web UI, as you can see right here. So for example, with Google Gemini, it's completely free to use, all these different use cases here. And if someone's watching this and they're not sure about what browser use web UI is, you can basically run this in your browser. I actually use it inside my own Chrome, and then you can link it to all sorts of APIs. But it's nowhere near as powerful as Manus. Manus is just 10 times more powerful. Abdul asks, how can Manus AI help someone start a SaaS business? Great question. So if you want to start your own SaaS business, here's an example that I built with Manus. Let me pull this up. So I'm just going to go back to it right here. All right. So for example, we said Let's pull this up. I don't know if it's still going to be running. We'll have to redeploy it. So it's going to redeploy there. But basically, we said to Manus, create and deploy the best and most useful tool you can for my SEO agency, Goldie Agency, right? So basically, create a SaaS tool for my SEO agency. This is for lead generation. And if we scroll down here, you can see that it just went off and created it, right? So if you have an idea for a SaaS product, then you can easily create it using Manus, and it will build the front end and the back end. So it'll build like the full stack for the AI, right? And then what you want to do is just deploy it. Now, if you deploy an app, from what I've noticed, it doesn't deploy it on subdomain. It will actually deploy that SaaS product on like a temporary terminal. And then every time you want to preview it inside Manus, you have to ask it to redeploy, right? Like you can see right here. So it's redeploying that. As you can see, let's open this up. We'll just wait for that to load. So this is the example here. And then once that's finished deploying, you'll be able to open it up with a link that looks something like this, right? So it's hosted at manus.computer. Whereas if you build a website with Manus, it'll be hosted at manus.space. That's the difference. And so if you want to build your own SaaS tool, like you can build it, you can deploy it, you can test it, you can create it all using Manus directly inside here. And then I'm sure if you gave it the API details, you could also link it to Stripe as well. So if you set up a Stripe account, set it up for payments or PayPal, whatever, you could grab the APIs from that and then link it directly inside here. So that's how you can get started with it if you want to build your own SaaS business. And it's pretty simple and easy to do. I'll wait for this to load right here. So it's just loading up the port for SEO lead generation SaaS software. So here we go. Let's pop this open. So we've got the front end, like I was saying right here. And then if we go to the dashboard on the back end, you can see we've got this dashboard for the SaaS software right here. So you've got, for example, the dashboard, discover leads section, right? So you can search between leads for your SEO agency. You can manage leads. And then it has like some analytics and other company details here. And this is all like dummy data, but you get the point. And so that SaaS tool, literally one prompt, was just built, deployed, and it even has the SaaS software ready to go. And then if you really wanted to deploy it live on the internet, then, you could download the code and then get AI to edit it later and redeploy it on something like Netlify. Or what you can do is you can just give Manus your API details or a payment link and get it to link it that way to make sure that you can accept payments directly. And then, if you're building a SaaS tool, obviously this is not going to be 100% ready to go. So you want to like quality control it, quality test it before you actually do anything else. But yeah, wild stuff. So you can see how you can easily build and deploy SaaS tools using this as well. Are there any other free API to use with Open Manus? I think you could probably integrate something like Google Gemini inside Open Manus. I haven't tested that out, but I'm pretty sure you could. You would just make sure you set up the API correctly inside Open Manus to make sure that works correctly. If you want the SOP for that, go to the AI Profit Boardroom. Then from here, go to Classroom, SOPs. And then inside the SOP section here, you can go to Manus AI. We've got the full SOP for how to use Manus on the live website. If you don't have access, then you can set up Open Manus using the instructions right here. I spent an hour setting it up, but it's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to get. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get access to all the SOPs from today, just go in the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. If you go to the SOP section, we have two different sections on Manus AI. We have an SOP for installing Open Manus locally, and also we have a step-by-step SOP for using this process along with a video tutorial. Now, if you want to go really in depth, we actually have this section here, which is an hour-long Q&A on Manus, how to use it, including some examples that are built live on the presentation. And this AI Profit Boardroom also comes with all our best workflows and courses on like NA10 agents. We have a full 3.5-hour course on DeepSeek. We have like many different templates you can just copy and steal from us on how to build AI agents. It also comes with weekly Q&A calls with me, so you can jump on and ask any questions that you have with us. Comes with a crash course, all of my best automation templates and training like you can see, and also a community of 376 members that you can ask for help and advice if you get stuck like you can see in the community here. So feel free to get that link in the comments description. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot on this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free custom tailored link building plan so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website. You'll discover the secrets to SEO link building, answer any questions you have, you'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, plus how to outrank your competitors based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments description. Manus AI is absolutely wild. It's the most autonomous, most powerful AI agent I've ever seen. I'm going to be showing you some examples of how we built, for example, like games, presentations, websites, directory sites, personal sites, even deployed this whole landing page with videos embedded and really nice designs directly in this video. Plus, I'll be answering all these questions, including how Manus could impact the world, because it's pretty scary stuff. For example, estimates from Goldman Sachs estimate that generative AI alone, including Manus, could displace 300 million full-time jobs globally, with advanced economies like the US, Germany, and Japan experiencing workforce disruption rates of 30 to 50%. But it's not all doom and gloom, because I'll be showing you how to adapt and get ahead of the curve based on what's working for me so far, and how you can actually use this to scale your business and save hundreds of hours instead of worrying about, okay, could it impact you negatively? Some people are asking, okay, if all admin work can be done by the Manus agent, what's left for people, right? The way that I see for people, right, in the future is that this is not a tool to replace people. It's a tool to essentially, what would I say? I would say it's a tool to empower people, right? So, for example, if I could get access to Manus for my whole team, then they're empowered to achieve much more and move much faster, right? That's the difference. So, for me, for example, if I could give my ops manager this tool, and then they can just go off and start using that for analyzing spreadsheets, for link building, or for example, for analyzing our clients' content and giving them recommendations based on that, or even maybe even getting the WordPress login details for our websites, and then getting the AI agent to update and re-optimize some of my pages each day. That's how you empower your team. And the way that I see it is, we're not planning to get rid of anyone on our team. Like, we get the most attention, we test tools, we publish content every single day. Like, we have millions of people that we're helping with AI at this point. And even for us, I don't plan to I don't want to get rid of anyone on my team. Like, I want to keep all the humans in my team. But what I want to do is I want to make them 100 times smarter, right? So if you've got a team of 50 people and my competitor have a team of 50 people, and then our team is way more empowered and can move 100 times faster because of technology like this, then we can scale way faster. I don't think the point is to become defensive and to start shutting down things and then to try and trim all the humans that you have. I think it's a case of, like, how can you scale more with the team that you have, as long as you have the right people on the team? And really, it's about educating your team. Like, one of the reasons we actually created this community was not just to help other entrepreneurs and everything else inside the community, but was to actually train our team on how to use AI, right? So they watch back the trainings inside the classroom, they watch back the calls on the Q&A recordings weekly here. If they have any questions, if my team have any questions, like, they can jump on the weekly calls as well and ask any questions that they have. And so it's a really powerful way to not just learn how to use AI, but also to empower your team to move 100 times faster and almost become like superhuman when it comes to using AI. So that's the whole point for me. Is it's not about replacing humans or replacing admin work. It's about making sure that your team is more empowered and can work smarter. They should still be working hard, but they should work smarter as well. So someone was asking, can it create a fully iPhone-friendly website with 30 different features that no other website have? Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to show you something interesting here. Actually, talking of iPhone, I saw someone try to replace the Apple Store using Manus.space. So let me pull this up. If you want to see some of the published creations from Manus, then you can type in site:/Manus.space, and you'll see a lot of different dummy sites that people have created with Manus right here. So for example, we've got like an IBIT ETF dashboard, but let me show you this one right here, which is the Apple clone. Now, if we go into responsive mode right here, so this is previewing on a mobile, we'll switch to, for example, iPhone 14 Pro Max, so you can see what it's like. So you've got the responsive mode right here, and this is basically cloned Apple, like you can see. So someone has created like a clone of Apple with links to buy, etc., like you can see. And yeah, you can easily create iPhone-friendly websites. And then in terms of functionality, you can see all the sections right here. It's pretty crazy. So all these different categories, kind of like the Apple Store. But essentially, you can just ask the AI, like add some unique features that haven't been seen before, or that sort of thing. And some people are saying nobody seems to care about humans being replaced with these sort of AI agents. For me, I genuinely care. That's why I create these videos. For me, a few years ago when ChatGPT came out, I honestly thought, do I still have a business anymore? Do I genuinely have a business, or are we just going to get replaced by ChatGPT within 6 months? It's actually one of the reasons I switched from mainly SEO content to more AI focused content. Because I was like, I've got to learn this stuff and stay ahead of the pack. And that's really one of the things that I'd recommend for you as well, is stay ahead of the pack, learn as much as you can, because these tools are not designed to replace humans. They're designed to empower us, right? Now, having said that, if there are people on your team who are not providing value and are not thinking for themselves, that's a big issue. You got to set agreements now. You got to set standards now so they start learning this stuff before it's too late. But yeah, one of the reasons that I used to create content purely about link building, if you look back in the day, 5 years ago, whereas if you look now, like all of our top content is about AI. And the reason for that is I have to learn about this stuff and I have to share it to the world because I want humans to learn this stuff. I want people to understand this stuff before it's too late. Imagine the 99% of the population outside of the people watching this channel. Imagine the 99% of people who don't understand what's coming for them, who don't learn this technology. Like, how scary is that? For example, when the internet came out, there was a certain proportion of the general population who just got left behind in technology, right? They couldn't use laptops, they couldn't use the internet, etc. And I can see the same thing happening very quickly for AI too. There's going to be a certain population section who don't learn these tools, don't adapt, and get left behind. And as sad as that is, it's scary stuff, but that's why I'm creating this content, to help people and empower people along the way. Creative Chris says, what do you think about the security using it for sensitive info like APIs, etc.? Yeah, I would be very careful. If this is a Chinese software, check the privacy terms and conditions, just like DeepSeek. You got to be careful what information you plug into there. You got to be careful what you put in. I wouldn't recommend putting any client data in there. I wouldn't recommend putting any confidential information about you or your business or your figures that you wouldn't be comfortable sharing with the world, right? If you really want to be careful about security, be careful with that stuff. And then when it comes to worrying about, okay, maybe the API is used for something that's super expensive, or you get like an unexpected bill. On all of these API providers, for example, like ChatGPT, you can set up a daily limit usage, which means that you won't get overcharged, right? So if you're worried about getting like a crazy bill at the end of the month for all the APIs you're using, just set a limit. Mindspace says, what kind of GPU do you need to run AIs locally? It depends what you're using, right? So for example, if you want to use QWQ, the 32B version, I'm on a MacBook Pro M3, and this was super slow for me. It didn't really work for me at all. Whereas, for example, if I use some of the distilled models, that's what I'd recommend for you as well, is if you use some of the distilled models. So, for example, like there's a distilled version of DeepSeek R1. Those ones are way better, right? Because they're a lot faster, they're a lot lighter, but they still leverage the power of DeepSeek R1 and other reasoning tools like that. So that's what I'd recommend. Some people are asking, okay, is Manus like Windsurf or any other IDE with MCP servers just easier to get started? Yeah, the main thing I would say with stuff like Windsurf, for example, is it's still a bit more technical, right? So if we open up Windsurf, right, Windsurf, number one, again, like if a user who's not technical, has never seen code before, sees a layout like this, they're just not going to understand what they're doing, right? It's going to be too complicated for them. They're going to get freaked out by all this crazy code on the left-hand side. And for 99% of people, they're just not going to use something like this. Whereas if, for example, they go over to Manus and you've got a bunch of templates that you can use, you just have to give it a prompt, like ChatGPT, then that's what's going to work. The reason that people love ChatGPT so much is because it is so simple, right? And it's the same with Apple, right? The simplest solution wins. So, for example, if you have a choice and you're not techie at all, which one are you going to choose? This one or this one? Obviously this one. Right? So that's the biggest difference here. And also Windsurf as well, it's really good. I do Windsurf, but when you look at Manus, it seems to be able to problem solve. So it seems a lot more autonomous and it can just go off and do stuff without you having to give it too much information. So yeah, the point is Like Health and Harmony says, the point is it's easier for a non-tech person to use. Most automation platforms, for example, like IDEs, like Windsurf, like Visual Studio Code, etc., it's just going to be so off-putting for most people to use. Whereas, for example, if you go into Manus and you just like, boom, do that for me. Okay, create a game for me. Create a SaaS tool for me. It actually goes off and does it. Then that's the difference. Like, I don't know anything about code. I didn't have to look at any code files here. I get a working demo of the game that we just built really quickly and easily, like you can see right here. So that's the biggest difference right here. A lot of people are talking about Devin, but I've never actually used Devin. Maybe I'll do a video comparison in the future, but I've never used Devin. Let's have a look at this. So Devin AI, let's see what we've got here. Oh, it doesn't seem to be loading up for me, to be honest. We'll come back to that later, maybe. Was asking me, like, what's the future of SEO? When you got these AI agents and everything else, one thing that I'd recommend is you watch the Neil Patel interview between me and Neil Patel. It's a great interview. It's on YouTube. You can just search Neil Patel. And we talk about whether AI is the end of SEO, right? And we both agree on one thing, which is with the power of AI, with the power of social media, for example, like some people don't even use Google anymore. They'll use, for example, like TikTok and other tools like that. With the power of these tools, AI isn't replacing SEO, it's increasing the reach of SEO. So like more people are searching for information than ever, more people are curious than ever, and also they get better answers than ever. When you're thinking about the future of SEO, I wouldn't think in just terms of Google. That's the biggest mistake that most people make. Instead, you want to be thinking, okay, in terms of the future, where are we going here? Number one, it's going to be more fragmented, right? So if we look at the old model, and the old way is people just search on Google for information. That is the old way, right? The new way is it's a Google everywhere approach, a SEO everywhere approach. Things are more fragmented, and instead of just optimizing for Google, you're optimizing for every platform. For example, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Google, Bing, LinkedIn, Instagram, etc. Right? That's the biggest difference right here. So this is the new way. This is the future of SEO. And if you're not thinking about this now, definitely book in a call with us. Link in the comments and description. We have tons of information about this. And actually, if you join, there's a free trial for the SEO Elite Circle. Link in the comments and description as well. If you join this community, we have tons of training on AI and how it's changing. So we've got tons of AI SEO strategies. I get asked these sort of questions all the time on the weekly Q&A call recordings. And there's tons of great information there, including how to diversify your traffic and also how to do YouTube and other lead generation methods. So for example, if you're worried about, okay, are people still going to be using Google? We have loads of different other channels that we get traffic from that you could use as well. For example, for us, like we'll even optimize for school. We have 4,600 members in our free school group, the AI SEO Success Lab. And that's just another way to get traffic. And so instead of just optimizing for Google, which we still do, we'll also optimize for every other channel. Even, let me show you this. I'll show you some examples right here. So even on Medium, we'll try and rank there. So for example, like this month alone, bear in mind it's only the 11th of March. This month alone, we've already had 5,000 views on our articles. If we go over to LinkedIn, we have a newsletter here with 6,285 subscribers where we just create content about AI, right? And all the latest findings there. And then school as well. So the reason that we post on 11 platforms instead of just YouTube is because you have to focus on ranking on every single platform, not just one single one. That's the difference here. That's what we're going for. Creative Chris asks, Julian, is the open source of Manus any good? Does it work on par with the web version? So I actually have a training on this and an SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So I'd recommend watching that, right? So inside here, if we go inside the SOP section, and then we scroll down to the Open Manus section right here, you actually see how we set up Open Manus locally and how we did that step by step. Now, when you're setting up Open Manus locally, one of the things I would say is you don't get the same UI, right? So it's not as nice. What you're going to see instead is a terminal that looks something like this. And it's still powerful. It can still go on the internet, etc. But the biggest difference here is like when you're doing this, it's just not going to look as nice. So it can still do similar outputs. And as well as that, it's not going to host the files on a subdomain for you. So Manus is obviously superior, right? Manus is a better tool, but it's not available for most people. So that's why I recommend using something like Open Manus whilst you're waiting for it. Starlight says, do you think by the start of 2026, will a super upgraded Manus, which is attached with a conversational AI mode? What do you think? Human labor, digital jobs will start to erode? I think the main thing you got to think about here, right? If you're considering, for example, using Manus, or if you're worried about like the future of humans and where we're going and everything else, let me run you through this report. This is pretty interesting right here. Right. So this is a report in terms of like how Manus is going to change the world and the biggest vulnerabilities. So McKinsey and companies analysis reveals that 26.7%, here we go, 26% of office jobs and 20% of customer service roles are at high risk of automation, with production work at 13%, right? The people who also face significant exposure are legal services. So these guys are in huge risk, right? It's all the sort of routine tasks. So like data entry, document reviews, scripted customer interactions, etc. These are all at the biggest risk. And so if you're worried about human labor being replaced, that's where you need to start looking. That's what you need to start thinking about. Whereas if, for example, like you are a leader, if you're great at running a team of people, if you're great at marketing, those sort of things, I think those tasks are actually going to become more and more in demand because now you can scale them 10 times further. And the value you can bring as like someone who's really good at AI is 100x what it was maybe 2 or 3 years ago. Also, Goldman Sachs did another job loss projections, and they were saying that generative AI alone could displace 300 million full-time jobs globally, with advanced economies like the US, Germany, and Japan experience workforce disruption rates of 30 to 50%. How wild is that? This is also exacerbated by the double displacement effect. So AI automates tasks within roles, but it simultaneously reduces the need for entry-level positions that serve as career pipelines, right? So for example, all those junior roles where programmers, and we all know this, like I haven't hired a coder since Bolt.new came out, right? These programmers are getting replaced. Front-end coders are getting wiped out. Gaming coders potentially could get wiped out as well because we've seen how powerful Manus is. So that's what we're looking at here. These are the biggest risks. Anything that can be automated probably will be automated. And Manus is super powerful now, but it's only the start. This is only going to get crazier. Let's have a look here. So wage dynamics and inequality. So automation has already suppressed wages by up to 70% since 1980. AI's expansion into knowledge work threatens to amplify this trend. So for example, the marketing industry. 37% of firms use generative AI for content creation. Myself included, we don't really hire human writers anymore. The copywriters that we do have use AI to help them. So yeah, it's pretty wild right there. It's saying that 81% of digital marketers believe AI will erode job opportunities for content writers, which is 100% true. Again, we don't hire content writers anymore. We just use AI to automate it instead. And then we come on to stuff like universal basic income, which is pretty scary stuff. And then you've also got like the ethical and societal risks of this as well. This is really scary stuff. We don't know where we're going, what's going to happen next, but that's why you got to learn this stuff now, right? Empower yourself rather than getting left behind. That's the main thing that we've got to learn here. Tarek says, how do you upgrade your knowledge and learn new things? How do you manage such an amount of time? The way that we do this, we've actually got a crash course inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you go to the classroom and then scroll to the SAP section here, we have all these systems. Basically, if you start here, this is the key. Start at this point here, and then you'll figure out exactly what you can automate, how you can automate it. The way that I look at it is it's the 80-20 rule, right? So look at where you're spending your time, automate that. And once you've done that and you've saved that time, look at where you spend your time the next month, automate that again. And just rinse and repeat that over and over again. The way that I look at it is it's a positive feedback loop. So if we come back to the whiteboard here, you really want to look at either delegating, eliminating, or automating, right? And so it's a positive feedback loop because, for example, you track your time and that helps you automate. And then once you've automated, you track your time again, and that's going to help you automate the next thing. And this just goes round and round and round. And in the end, using stuff like the AI Profit Boardroom, you're saving hundreds of hours. Now, if your time is worth as a CEO minimum $100 per hour, if you're a serious entrepreneur, then even if you save 1 hour, that role was 100% worth it. And if you, let's be honest, if you automate, for example, Twitter or content creation, if you automate, for example, like drafting emails, and you save yourself time that way, then you're probably saving yourself at least 30 minutes a day, either by you or your team. And so that's the biggest difference here. FL says, what is actually your business? Do you teach how to use LLMs or AI agents? So yeah, we have the AI Profit Boardroom that teaches you how to implement all of the systems that I use to scale my business, like you can see. And then additionally, we also have an SEO agency, right? And the reason that we started the AI Profit Boardroom is because so many people in our audience, especially our clients, were asking for something like that. And so we were like, okay, I didn't want to create it. That's why I only created it last month. But I've been blown away. We've got, 376 members in here. We've got an SEO agency. That's our main business, right? Help hundreds of clients get more leads, traffic, sales with SEO. And then that demographic also is really interested in AI. So we have the AI Profit Boardroom. And then additionally, we also do offer AI automation services using the AI time machine method, right? So this is an AI automation service that you can book in. You can book in a free AI strategy session on this page, link in the comments description. And then from there, you can just hire us to build out AI automations for you. It will cost you $1,500 per month minimum. But basically, if you save 100 hours per month with AI automation, then you've already got back in time. So those are the things really, they all link together, right? They're all very similar. So that is pretty much it. I think we've handled every question someone could ask about Manus and that sort of thing. We've been live streaming for an hour. So thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it as always. If you want a free SEO strategy session, one-to-one, that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visitors a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that on this free link building acceleration session. You'll get a free SEO domination plan. You'll discover the secrets of SEO link building. We'll answer any questions you have, and you'll learn the best link building strategies for your website, along with being able to ask any questions you have on the course. So feel free to get that link in the comments and description. And if you want to join the AI Profit Boardroom, prices are literally about to go up. We've got a few hours left, I think, before that will go up. So make sure you sign up now and lock in your legacy price before you miss out. Comes with all of my best trainings on AI agents and workflows, web automation, email and content automation, social media, Q&A call recordings, SOPs, crash course, etc. And inside the community as well, you can ask 376 other business owners any help or advice you need. So for example, someone was asking about open source Manus this morning. I actually gave them a bunch of help. And yeah, if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to get that link in the comments description. If you do want AI automation services as well, we also do that. Link in the comments description. All right. Appreciate everyone watching this. See you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.